Masters. Touchdown, Miami. Jackson going to the end zone. What a night, Bo Sparks. Make it 4.
Shakes through a couple of tacklers. Still on his feet. Hawkins to the end zone. Unbelievable.
This is Chasing the Natty, a college fantasy football podcast. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you all here on this Sunday night. We are back with another college fantasy draft live stream where myself and a special guest each week run through a 30-round college fantasy draft, as well as answer your questions in the chat live on the show. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jared Palmgren. I am the host of this channel and the Chasing the Natty podcast, a year-round show dedicated to the great sport that we all love, that is college fantasy football. Joining me tonight is Mr. Ethan Sauers, host of the Ballin with my Bestie podcast, a year-round show dedicated to the college football Underdog Bestball competitions, as well as future co-host of the theoretical Campus of Canton movie podcast, Critics to Cinema. Ethan, welcome onto the show, man. How you doing tonight? I know it's scary, Ethan, looking at the full FBS player pool tonight. How you feeling about? I know you're not a novice at this whatsoever, right? Like you draft full FBS and everything, but it has been a minute. So, how you feeling going into tonight? That's good. No, for sure. And you're not really paying attention. It's not like you're diving into the ADP over at Campus of Canton and trying to figure out, like, all right, am I drafting this guy 3 or 4 rounds too early? No, you're just going to, at that point, you're starting to take your guys. If you start getting worried about some of those late round guys, Ethan, I will say to you and everyone listening, make sure you check out tomorrow's CTN episode where Chris and I dive into final 5 round running backs that you can be getting, and I would not be shocked at all if I end up drafting a couple of those guys tonight. In fact, I'm going to say it right now, I'm going to challenge myself. Normally, by the time the final 5 rounds come around, I've usually got all 10 of my running backs. I'm going to save 3 of my running back spots for the final 5 rounds as a teaser for tomorrow's show. And you guys who are drafting with us tonight, oh wait, it says you can't hear Ethan. That's a problem. All right, check now. Everyone, can you hear Ethan?
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Jared can hear me, so
I can hear Ethan just fine. I'm so sorry, everyone. This is the second time this has happened. It's so weird because like last week, everyone was telling me that there was a really bad echo, and so I turned this off. And then now this week, it's like it didn't capture you again. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, Ethan, do you want to? I guess yeah. This is
we're all set.
There we go. Everyone's saying game on now. We're good. Anyway. Like I said, I'm going to save my final 3 of my final running back spots for the final 5 rounds. Give myself a little bit of a challenge today. I'm not going to go 0 RB. I did have somebody ask me on Twitter earlier today, like, is 0 RB or hero RB a viable strategy in college fantasy this year? And I straight up told him I don't think it is, because you get maybe. Because the whole point of like hero RB and 0 RB is the idea of like you get an advantage by drafting other positions, while everyone else is taking running back and trying to get an advantage at those positions. But to me, with quarterbacks, there's too many to really gain an advantage. But Bailey's asking, what is 0 RB? 0 RB is basically the idea of like holding off on running back. So like, but in both NFL and college fantasy, the prevailing wisdom is you got to get running backs early, right? And so the idea is being contrarian to that. And like, while everyone's grabbing running backs, you're grabbing other positions. But my deal in college fantasy this year is that there's too many quarterbacks to really take advantage of that. Like the only one you really get an advantage of is maybe Brad Jackson, Arch Manning, but like the advantage runs out very quickly because the guys after those guys are pretty pretty samey like over the next like 10 rounds, so you don't really feel like you're getting that much of an advantage. And then wide receiver, the pool for that just dries up too quickly, right? It'd be one thing if you're getting really good wide receivers like through the first 5 rounds, but you just aren't, right? You got guys we think we like, right? But in terms of like known producers, you're out of those by like the end of round 2. So your advantage is that you get 2 rounds of good wide receivers when that's already the most volatile position. So to me, it's just not really that much of a viable position. That's not me saying don't draft wide receivers early, because again, if you get a Jeremiah Smith, you get an Easton Messer, you get a Malachi Tony, you get a Bo Sparks, heck yeah, you're going to draft those, right? But otherwise, yeah, that's kind of my
I
stance
saw a
on
zero
it.
RB build on Underdog out in the wild this past week, and they waited until round 12 to draft a running back.
Oh my God.
I think that it's a really popular NFL underdog tournament strategy, but that's because you only have 32 running backs and somebody's going to get injured and that replacement is going to be on par with, somebody else. There's just too many options and too many guys who can go just ham any given week for that to be viable in underdog. But, we'll see how it plays off for him.
You gotta, at that point, you are entirely relying on luck between two things, right? Either the guys you're drafting late all of them are way more valuable than what ADP is giving them credit for, which case means that you are right and everybody else is wrong. And let's be honest, how many times when that's the case, does that actually work out for us? And then 2, like you said, Ethan, if you're drafting handcuffs and stuff like that, right? You're getting lucky on the injury side of things, right? That you drafted the right handcuffs. You drafted the guys that ended up going down due to injury. And for me, that's just not a way I like to play this game. 1, I don't like rooting for injury. And then 2, like relying that much on luck. And luck's a part of the game, right? That's part of what makes college fantasy a great game, is that it's equal parts skill and equal parts luck a lot of times. But in terms of like making that my whole strategy, I just cannot do that. So,
fair.
Alrighty. Again, I apologize to everyone for the start of the stream and Ethan being muted on that. So, Ethan, I am glad, though, that before we did that I didn't ask you exactly what it is you do. Obviously, you've kind of mentioned a couple of times you do underdog fantasy content and everything, but what kind of stuff do you guys offer with the best ball package this year? What is Ballin with my Bestie? If people, for some reason, don't listen to that award-winning show there, what kind of stuff do you do, man?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys, since you couldn't hear me, you just missed me laying out my entire 30 round, picks that I'm going to be picking here today. So now I get the element of surprise a little bit. But no, with Ballin with my Bestie, me and Chris K talking underdog fantasy during times of year when nobody really is thinking about underdog fantasy. But it's been a whole lot of fun. Obviously, we've got some in-season content that is more focused on daily fantasy. With the DraftKings games, and we dabble a little bit with some pick'ems with the what Underdog offers during the week. So we've been doing that in season. The best ball package with Campus to Canton right now. The big draw with that is being able to access the best ball rankings that are powered by Chris K and Ben. They are out there doing projections and updating things and fine-tuning things on a pretty frequent basis. So I know they've at least already gotten a few updates sent through within those rankings. You can plug those right into your underdog draft, so you can be drafting along with it. Chris always gives a disclaimer, these rankings are more of a tier, and you should still use ADP as a good guideline. A lot of using those projections is going to be being able to marry those and mingle those with ADP. So for that aspect and figuring out how to use those and what nuances there are, that's why we have the podcast. We love talking shop and talking theory with all that. So if you haven't been listening, you should definitely check us out Thursdays on the Campus to Canton Network.
For sure. And I will say, Ethan, you kind of brought it up, like with the whole tier thing. That's how I've started to get to that. Oh, draft started. Usually it waits for me to start the draft, but I guess we're going.
Drafting waits for no one, Jared.
Yeah, here we go. But like, I've started to do this a little bit more in Fantrax drafts as well. In addition to the Underdog, at least any platform that has its own ADP, right, that you can kind of play around with. I like it better in Underdog because with Underdog, you can add them to the queue, and then within your queue, you can sort by ADP. And that's actually kind of huge because then I can just go into each position and just add like every quarterback I view in that tier and then sort it by ADP. So then I can kind of understand like, all right, can I wait on my top guy or do I need to pick him on this next pick if I want a chance at him? Right?
Yeah.
Fantrax unfortunately does not offer that, but it is still kind of interesting because like the way my rankings work. Oh, I realize I should be flipping us over to this page so people can actually see the draft. But like even in Fantrax, right? Like I can kind of do that a little bit where I can switch back and forth between ADP and my rankings and stuff like that. So
yeah.
All right, Ethan, you made your first pick there. You were at the 103. You took Jeremiah Smith. Is that just a no-brainer for you? If Jeremiah Smith makes it to you at 1-3, you just go with that?
The more drafts I get in that are going to be, full FBS, I'll probably differentiate a little bit with Messer. I really contemplated Messer just because I've been drafting so much Underdog. I don't have a whole lot of Messer in my fantasy portfolio yet this year. So, I was a little bit on the fence, but ended up going Jeremiah because I think that he's the most insulated pick in the draft. So.
I mean, full PPR, it makes all the sense in the world why you would want to get a ton of Messer. But again, Jeremiah Smith makes a lot of sense here as well. I'm at the 9 spot, so all 4 of the top wide receivers have flown off the board here. So I'm not grabbing one of those guys. Guess I'm going to be going running back here, depending on what Robert does here. I hope Robert enters the draft room here. I'll probably shoot him a little message here on Twitter just to be like, hey, buddy, you joining us?
Yeah, it looks like you're sandwiched on 2 guys not in the room right now, so.
That is all fine to go. All right, I've taken a ton of him this year. I'll take him again. Antoine Raymond here at the 1-9 is a no-brainer for me. I know some people are off of him a little bit, but again, top 10 running back from last year. Ain't no reason why I can't take him again. To me, if he's a top 10 running back last year, he should be a first-round pick this year, unless there's some excruciating circumstances like, Cameron Dickey, where you have a major piece coming back into the room like Quentin Joyner. And then even back then when Brendan Sorsby was the quarterback, right? Like you had to drop Dickey compared to what he was doing last year. But quite frankly, Dickey's jumped up my rankings a little bit this year now that Sorsby's out of the room. Still can't quite put him back into the first round conversation just because of Joyner. But yeah, like I said, if they were a top 10 running back from last year, there's no reason you shouldn't be okay with taking them in the first round of next year's draft.
Do you think Lonergan is an improvement over Kaliakmanis?
I think he's probably fine, if not maybe a little bit worse, just because of the experience. Like Kaliakmanis was in that system forever, right? So that is an advantage that they are losing there.
Totally,
but I would say that. Some people are acting like Lonergan's going to tank this entire offense, and I'm like, Lonergan, he was really not that bad at Boston College last year. I think O'Brien kind of overcorrected when he took. God dang! Wow, just all of them coming off the board there. I mean, Bishop. What a grab of Bishop there in the second round.
Yeah.
All right, everyone's in the room now. Cool. It looks like.
Yeah, I was just asking on the Rutgers. Having 2 big pieces like Duff and Raymond both going so early makes it a little. I need a gut check on that Rutgers offense.
No, I mean Duff. The idea, right, is that they bring in almost nobody back from last year, right? I mean Ben Black is probably going to be their wide receiver 2, and I think he's a pretty solid steal towards the end of drafts because again they got to throw to somebody else in that room, but. Dove could easily hit 100 targets this year, and if he's got 100 targets, he's hitting over 1,000 yards, and it's really hard to project that anywhere else with a lot of these wide receivers. So, all right, I'm back on the clock. We got an echo again. God dang it! I don't understand my software, but again, I got it fixed now. I know what to do when that happens now, but at the same time, it's just like why it's going back and forth like that. I have no idea. Anyway, I'm too late in the 3rd round to really hope that a good running back falls back to me. But man, I don't like reaching up for any of these guys here. So, you know what? I'll just go... It's full PPR, actually. So if this man's healthy, he's going to give me a ton of PPR points. I'll just go ahead and take Darius Taylor here. Brad Jackson was the other guy I was actually considering there. because I haven't gotten enough shares of Brad Jackson in my opinion this year. But again, just because I'm so late in the third round, or when it comes back to me in the third round, I just don't trust that running backs are going to be there for me. So
They won't be.
they just straight up won't be. Speaking of, there's your boy Duff coming off the board there. Were you considering him in the second and third round there, Ethan?
It would have been hard going 2 running backs in the first 3. I actually just saw co-host of Chasing the Natty. He was in a draft with me. It's still going on right now. It's in like the 20th round. And he went very heavy wide receiver early. And it's tough. I think he was like in the 3-4 spots, somewhere around there. And so I've seen what it looks like going really wide receiver heavy in those rounds, and that's not for the faint of heart. So I went against it there.
All right. By the way, everyone watching, please not forget. Again, this is a live stream, and we are drafting, and we will talk about our picks all night long. That is totally fine. But this is also y'all's opportunity in the chat to chat with us, right? Like, again, this is y'all's opportunity. If you got questions about different rooms, if you got different teams that you're interested in, different players that you've seen drafted in a draft recently that you want to talk about, please drop them in the chat. We will answer all those questions. We're actually no questions so far in the chat tonight, y'all. So let's get that going. Let's get some questions going here. All right, Ethan, you're coming back here.
Yeah.
John Wall there on the clock. Who are you kind of hoping makes it to you here?
Haynes is kind of the screaming guy at the top there, but I am kind of interested in Jakirian Turner. I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about Turner this year. Like Narduzzi running back, Pitt, like we think that's a really great spot.
I mean, Cade Bell running backs are crazy, especially in PPR format like this. Like they get tons of receptions.
And so, I mean, he seems like a really good option there. Justice Haynes, you're really hoping for touchdown equity and just volume across the board. And I don't know necessarily how that offense is going to look like. So I think honestly, I'm answering my own question and talking myself into Turner more than Haynes, and I'm on the clock here. So
Alrighty, well, you're on the clock. Go ahead and
do
make
that.
your
He's
pick.
not going to make it back after that. So
No, that's tis the rules of the live stream, my friend. If you start talking about a player, you got to go ahead and take them because these guys are vultures in the chat, man. They'll
more power to them.
They will make sure that that you will get your heart broken as many times as they possibly can tonight.
No, that tracks.
All right, I am
starting from the beginning.
Okay, so the draft board's off. Can't do anything. Godly. My computer.
Okay. It looks like it's coming back up for us, but obviously you don't have the board there.
Close you.
All right, I'm on the clock, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm just gonna close out all Google and just it was completely frozen for.
Gotcha.
Restore. Oh, because Chrome needed an update, so it threw a fit. That's what happened. Oh my god, that ticks me off.
It happens, man.
Oh, now I'm logged out of Fantrax. Now I'm logged out of Google. Oh, no. Oh my god, what the hell? This is crazy.
Just bad vibes tonight, man.
Dude, that's nuts. I've never. Wow. Yes, it's me trying to log in, jerks.
All right, I see live draft board on their screen, so I think we're good.
Okay. All right, hey everyone. I don't know if y'all. I hope y'all can hear me. Actually, Ethan, can you talk real quick? I want to see it. Are we getting echo Ethan or are we getting real Ethan?
Yeah, let's check out.
We're getting real Ethan. We're good.
Love to see it.
All right. I am so sorry about that, y'all. I tried to look because I was set to answer a question here, and my my Chrome decided to update right here, right now, which froze my entire computer, and then like shut everything down. And then when I opened back up, I was logged out of everything, like Chrome. I was logged out of Fantrax. I was logged out of YouTube. So my apologies and everybody. Yeah. So hopefully that's the last bit of technical difficulties we have tonight. Ethan, you picked there at 3-3, Bo Jackson. That's a pretty fun pick there. I kind of like that as a nice little safe gap. If Turner is volatile, you go with a guy like Jackson, who's going to be part of an Ohio State team that is, should be pretty consistent. They'll get touchdowns every single week.
I don't love going Bo after going Jeremiah Smith in the first round. Like that's
a fair point.
Just overall, being a Penn State fan and my first picks being a Buckeye, a Pitt Panther, and another Buckeye. Just don't like that in general. But the fact that we have that overlap with Smith and Jackson, it's not ideal. But again, in a 12-man league, you're not necessarily shooting for upside like you are with underdogs. So
yeah, right. Yeah, you're 100% trying, like you said, you're playing a little bit more safe here. You're not facing. How many people are in the underdog draft? Like 20,000 or something like that entries.
Oh yeah, it's wild. They upped it this year too. I don't have the exact number, but yeah, it's you're fighting thousands of folks for that top prize of 30K.
So, but here obviously we're just trying to do what we can here to beat 11 other guys. Sure. I had one running back here make it back to me in the third round, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take him and then probably start working at wide receiver here. But Austin Dendy here out of Bowling Green, just the way he finished last season. Is there a slight worry that they go a bit more committee this year? Sure. But at the same time, right, like if they don't and they're lying, then Dendy's going to get 200 plus carries in the MAC. Taylor and Raymond will get me through those first couple of weeks, and then it's wheels up for Dendy from there, as long as he doesn't get hurt in out of conference.
I mean, it's Eddie George, right? Still Bowling Green's head coach. He wants to replicate some great college football running back production.
Oh, for sure. Alrighty.
Got some questions in the chat too.
We do have some questions in the chat, and that was what caused my question. Caused my
Chrome to crash.
Chrome to crash because I was trying to look up. We got a question from Ben Jacob in the chat asking about Virginia, right? And he's right. There's not been a lot of talk around Virginia this year, which is kind of crazy because we've seen some pretty solid production out of like their wide receiver room. We saw Malachi Fields 2 years ago, and then last year, Trell Harris was pretty solid at times for them, and then obviously Jamari Taylor was great at running back. So it's like, what are we feeling? Ethan, I mean, we can start at quarterback. Your boy Bo Pribula,
I was gonna say,
quarterback there. How do you feel about Bo?
I was gonna say, I mean, I got Bo right here. Got a nice trading card, Bo Pribula. Everybody who has tuned into Ballin with my bestie knows that I am a big Bo fan. So I think that this Virginia offense is wheels up. I mean, the biggest thing with that running back room is just trying to figure out, who's going to be the guy. It does seem like Middlebrook may have a good part in it. There's who's the Tennessee transfer who
Peyton Lewis.
Peyton Lewis, yeah. Lewis seems like a home run hitter, like a guy who has some big play capability in there. I think we're probably going to get a nice committee of some sort. But I think this offense is going to be good. They did a lot with a little last year, and I think they can keep doing that. So,
all right, I'm about to be on the clock here. I'm deciding, do I go my fourth running back in a row here and kind of reach up for a guy here a little bit that, I've been off a little bit this year, but I think as a fourth running back here, I'll go ahead and take him. We talked about it a little bit before the show started, but I'll go Cameron Dickey here. Like, again, if he gets close to his production last year, right, because you're having a very similar style quarterback from last year in Will Hammond, who we're not expecting to run at all, really, because of his injury. They're going to rely on those three running backs quite a bit. And if there's a world where Dickey just replicates what he did last year and, Joyner is really more of a detriment to Jacoby Williams than he is to Dickey, then I feel like I'm getting a steal here in the fourth round for sure. So, yeah, again, we'll see what I get at wide receiver here. One of the guys I was looking at, Jordan Dwyer, comes off a pick later. So, once again, that's just the vibes of the night here.
I don't mind that Dickey pick at all. I think that whole backfield is going to be a much safer unit given the recent Sorsby upheaval and all of that. So I think that honestly, if Hammond isn't set to go, like what's stopping them from just running the hell out of that ball for however many weeks they need to until
and
he's
they just both all their running backs could end up with the way they're just destroying folks. They could end up with 1 to 2 touchdowns every single game.
yeah. It's
Great pick by Gundy's gang there. Isaiah Satania was one of the wide receivers I was considering over Dickey, especially in a PPR format like this. Again, that slot wide receiver with Ben Arbuckle. That's a great pick there. Continuing the talk with the Virginia here. I agree with you about the running backs. Again, to me, it's between Peyton Lewis and Ja'Kyle Middlebrook. You also got Solomon BB in that mix there as well. But they're going to try to make that a committee this year. I don't think that the workhorse back they got in Taylor last year, really, I think they fell into that more by accident than anything else because of just, other guys in that room getting injured. Like the fact they brought in 3 running backs out of the transfer portal should tell you a lot about the fact that they felt like they had no depth last year behind Taylor. And I don't think that's a way they want to operate. And if I had to pick between Lewis and Middlebrook, I probably would still go Lewis. But none of those guys are going to get you what you got with Taylor last year. And then wide receiver, we do have a pretty good idea of who the 3 starters are between Cameron Courtney, Deshaun Martin, and Rico Flores. But as Chris puts in our CFF guide this year, good luck feeling confident about picking between those 3 guys. We know that, again, historically, there should be a wide receiver 1 in that room. It's just, like I said, or like Chris says, good luck feeling confident about picking the right guy there. Ethan, do you have a feel between those 3 guys?
No, it's a situation that just makes you feel real uneasy. When there's that many mouths in the backfield, like you're starting to wonder, is there viability because they just need to run so much for that to be there.
Dude, check out this start from Chris B here. Lacey, Haynes, Henderson, Robinson, Ashlock in a full PPR format. That's a crazy start.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even that big of an Ashlock fan, but in a PPR setting, you definitely got to be a little bit more interested in him because of just, 120 targets basically locked in for him this year.
Yep.
But you're on the clock, Ethan. What are you looking at here in the 5th round?
I'm wondering if it's too early. Again, my underdog brain is kicking in. It's probably too early for this guy, but I'm going Trades at tight end. He's one of the few guys that I care about before, the 18th, 19th, 20th round of underdog drafts at tight end. So, uh, it's a tough pill to swallow knowing that I'm using an early pick on tight end, but he's the one guy who I feel like I would be okay with taking an earlier pick on.
I can't get there with Green. Let me clarify. I can't get there with Green separating himself from the rest of the tight end pool. On one hand, I kind of get it in terms of Lane Kiffin's clearly used our tight ends really well in the past. Green's a freak of nature. He's more receiver than he is tight end. With the wide receiver room being wide open for LSU, there's a non-zero chance that Green could lead them in targets,
That's
right?
the piece of it,
There's a lot of story time you can tell yourself with Green that convinces you that he's really above and beyond the rest of the room. When I put out my projections, it's just not that. It's just not that. Now, he's one of the big 5, in my opinion, between him, Carter, Jamari Johnson, DJ Vanami, and Dylan Wade, right? That's the big 5 to me. But those guys also go so much later. Green, even in these full FBS drafts, has kind of started creeping up into this, round 5 range. And a lot of those guys are going round 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm I just can't get myself to convince myself that he's really worth a couple rounds before all those guys. Now, I'm going to take Nick Marsh here. I'm a Charlie Becker fan, but I'm not going to pass up on the opportunity to get one of the top 2 wide receivers for Indiana this year.
He would have been my pick if I went wide receiver. I had a tight end, a wide receiver, and a quarterback, and Chambliss went. So yeah, Chambliss and Marsh were my other options there. You mentioned story time with with Trades Green, and you should know by now that I'm a narrative king, man.
Oh yeah,
all about the narrative, and I think we keep hearing more and more about these wide receivers at LSU, and you start to hear if you have 4 wide receiver 1s, do you really have a wide receiver 1 in that room? And I think Trades could be the beneficiary of some jumbled wide out arrangements there. So
It also, you don't really have that clear big target, right? Like Jace Brown, he'll probably be the X. He's a small X. He's like what, 5'11", 175, like that. Not really a guy you would throw jump balls to. Jackson Harris probably a little bit more like that, but there's a non-zero chance that Jackson Harris isn't a starter for this team. And so,
And do you trust a running back enough to give them goal line touches right now? Like, there's if they're not able to run the ball and they're close to the end zone, like you could see a nice variance with Trey getting more touchdowns this year.
no, I would agree with you that among all the tight ends, like Green has one of the best chances to end the season with double-digit touchdowns at tight end, which is the upside you want to shoot for.
Yep.
But it is upside. It's one thing if you had proven and done it before. It's another thing when, you're trying to project that out.
And I think part of what makes me comfortable there is just like there's definitely not a running back on the board that I feel really good about in this range. The wide receivers, I feel like there are enough of them that a guy or two is going to get back to me that I feel comfortable with at the position. And that's everybody else's cue to draft 9 running backs or wide receivers in a row right now.
I was to say, as soon as you mention
Yeah.
what position you're looking at, buddy, they're going to try to snipe you all
Go for
day
it.
long in this.
Go for it.
I've got somebody I got somebody on my mind here. We'll see if Plowman takes him from me. I hope he doesn't, because this is one of my boys. I've been rooting for him ever since he left my alma mater, but we will see. All right. We got a question from, where is it? Brett. He says, any thoughts on the Fresno State running back room? I do have thoughts, and that is likely going to be a split carry between Donaldson and Luke again. But if you got to pick one, you got to go Luke. Luke just straight up outperformed Donaldson last year, even with less carries. 6.4 yards per attempt, more touchdowns, yards after contact per attempt, 4.65 compared to Donaldson's 2.74. You talk about breakaway percentage. Luke was 46.9% versus Donaldson's 24.9%. Like I said, Luke was just better. And receiving wise, Luke was targeted more, 39 targets compared to Donaldson's 20. 228 yards compared to Donaldson's 107. Like, if there's going to be one, oh shoot, I'm on the clock. Well, I'm going to take Anthony Evans. That's my boy. If there is a running back that is going to break away in that Fresno State room, and that's not a staff that typically likes to go heavy RB. That's why Luke's not really being drafted super highly, even if you do like him better. But like, I don't think I've had a single shot at Donaldson this year. I've got plenty of shots at Luke so far.
Makes sense.
What about you, Ethan? How do you feel about the Luke and Donaldson duo? How are you
You know,
navigating it?
I wasn't super high on Donaldson last year, and I'm glad that it didn't completely like come back to bite me with that. But yeah, I mean, Rayshawn Lucas seems like he is. If there's a shot for a dude who's gonna break away like that, my money would be on Luke for sure.
All right, I'm gonna load up at a couple of positions here because I gotta start looking at what's gonna fall to me at this point. But Ethan, you got 3 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, no quarterbacks yet. Quarterback entered the mind yet for you?
Uh, a little bit. I had thought a little on Chambliss earlier. I've got a few guys who I wouldn't mind a stab at, but I'm on the clock here, so I'm gonna take Ryan Coleman Williams. Again, I thought somebody might fall. Anthony Evans was the guy who I would have wanted to fall when I mentioned that. So he seems like he's just locked into a crazy workload. I'm very bullish on him this year. But ended up going Ryan Coleman Williams. I think that's a decent pivot. You've got to hope and trust that Keelan Russell is the answer for this DeBoer and Grubb offense. They can produce some crazy production, so producing production is a good thing. But we'll see. I'm not as convinced that Coleman's going to be head and shoulders above the rest there, but he's definitely on the inside track. So.
Hey, Mitch, I don't know if you're listening, buddy, but that was stone cold what you just did to Chris there. That was stone cold taking Dajuan Williams from him a pick after.
I don't know.
After
I'll
Chris's
stick my
pick.
neck out and say if Chris truly wanted DeJuan right there, he should have taken him before the turn.
That oh he probably thought he could make it. He probably because here's the thing. That Sean Wilson pick there I like a lot. That's somebody I got to be a bit more bullish going into this year, because how many times have we seen a system have like two 90+ yard target guys.
Yeah.
One of those guys leaves, and then the other guy just goes nuts the next year, right? We think that they're kind of capped at that 90 target season, but then all of a sudden when they're the one guy, they hit that 120, even 130, if not more targets the next season. That's the kind of upside you're shooting for when you take a guy like Sean Wilson.
Sean Wilson is the G5 KJ Duff. So I have no problem getting him, 5 rounds later? 5.5 rounds later?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good pick by Chris there. And you took Kamario Taylor as a quarterback, did enter the mind there for you. That was one of the quarterbacks I loaded up in my queue here. Definitely got to get definitely probably need to start looking at it here. Seventh through 10th round is like a really good sweep spot for quarterback. If you can get like 2 to 3 quarterbacks in this range, I think you're feeling pretty good. Once again, Ethan, the rule of the stream. I say that now everyone's going to take quarterbacks. We're about to see the quarterback pool dry up here a lot.
These 2 in my queue are not going to last. So
oh, absolutely not, sir. Clay Mountcastle 2161 says, I am not taking the Boise State running back bait again. GNT isn't walking through that door. You're 100% right, Clay. I mean, GNT's not walking through that door, but I mean, as Chris B said in the chat, Riley put up a smooth 1K last season. He was top 36 running back for CFF. Now, he has some dud weeks, don't get me wrong. All right, I'm on the clock here. I'm going to take a guy that top 10 quarterback last year, should be in a good spot again this year to do well, because I think this team could do well in its conference. I'm going to take Nick Minicucci here. I don't got a lot of shares of him. I haven't seen him typically make it this far down, but again, top 10 quarterback from last year. They threw over 400 times last year. You got Sean Wilson back. Like, Delaware could be really, really solid this year. You got a head coach returning, offensive coordinator returning, quarterback returning, top wide receiver returning, top running back returning. A lot of their offensive line returns. Could be really good.
His rushing production's a lot better than I remembered. So yeah.
And they run him around the goal line a lot because they don't really trust. They don't really trust Silver for whatever reason with those goal line carries, which really sucks. And you got Byron Ellison coming back. God dang, I was hoping he had moved on, because then I was going to be really in on Silver. But no, he is back. Anyway, continuing about the Boise State thing. Riley's a fine pick, in my opinion. Again, you're drafted a guy that hit 1,000 yards last year. I think there's a decent shot that both him and Gaines could hit 900+ yards each this year. Boise State's going to run the absolute hell out of the ball. If you need any kind of confirmation, just go back and look at Ashton Ginty's first year splitting the carries with George Halani there, right? Like, that was an absolute dynamic duo at running back when both of those guys got going towards the end of the year. I think that's what Boise State's going to try to do with Riley and Gaines if both of them are healthy, because they bring in a couple of running backs out of the portal, and like Harry Stewart and I forget who else they brought in. Jules Goff. Yep, Jules Goff out of Pitt there. But those aren't guys that are going to really be, they're not on the same level as like when they brought in Malik Sherrod, right? Yeah. So it's going to be the Riley and Gaines show. I think both of them have really solid seasons. I'll throw this question over to you, Ethan. How do we feel about South Carolina's wide receiver room under Kendall Briles?
I think that there's a lot of belief in Nick Harbor having a breakout year. Like, I've seen a lot of different people posting and mentioning it in podcasts, things like that. I think we need to prep ourselves for that, because especially if you're a buyer on Lenora Sellers being able to come back and lead this team better, improved offensive line. At least they made the effort. I think the guy they brought in, the star transfer they got, went down with an injury at some point. But you got to think that they're going to gel a little bit better than they were last season on the offensive line. I think honestly that is the number one with a bullet, what they need to be able to better produce for this offense. So I'm okay with Harbor. I don't know how spread out and how much exposure I want to the room in general, but the fact that I don't love the rest of the room and Nick Harbor is the pedigree he is, I think he's got a good opportunity to do something this year.
I wanted to take one of my boys here, but unfortunately that Marcel Reed pick has forced my hand here because I do see a bit of a teardrop at quarterback coming here a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and take Connor Wigman and
I was
then
wondering if he was going to go. Him and Avery.
and just see what I can get here going forward. But to continue your point about the South Carolina wide receiver room, I've got Nick Harbor at wide receiver 26 for me. I think I agree. There's a lot of upside with him. He's at wide receiver 26 after I've put a pretty heavy confidence discount on him because one, he's yet to break out as his 4th year. So there's a little bit of confidence discount there as well. But if I don't, he's got insane upside this year. Like Nick Harbor is legitimately, like we're talking top 3 wide receiver upside this year. He's been so efficient in his career so far, again, 17.8 yards per reception over the last couple of years, a near 10% touchdown rate when he's out there on the field. You give a guy like that a system where that's also averaged pretty well for their top wide receivers, and you give that guy 100 targets, which is what the top wide receiver for Kendall Briles has been looking at the last couple of years. Major upside. Like again, we're talking about 190 fantasy points. It's just a matter of, does it actually happen? Another thing that I think people need to keep an eye out for, and this I've seen him drafted a couple of times, and I finally came around to the idea that I probably do need to add him to my rankings, and that is Jaden Sellers, Lenore Sellers' little brother. A lot of production.
Too. Yeah.
A lot of production towards there's Harbor. Somebody's listening. A lot of production towards the end of last year, and those slot wide receivers have done pretty well under Kendall Briles sometimes. And so, I think there's a non-zero chance that Sellers could end up being a pretty solid pivot if you don't get Harbor here in like the 8th round, right? Maybe grab Sellers towards the end, and brother-to-brother connection. Why not look at it?
Yeah, I mean, especially like if we think Sellers is coming in with the right mindset, like it's cherish your college football experience because you don't know what's going to happen from one year to another. So, his brother coming in, that like it's a feel good thing. I've got a brother. We played football growing up. Like it's definitely a cool thing to be able to include each other and have that moment. It might have him focused in a little bit stronger than other years.
No, I definitely believe it. Chris says, MacDad, who took Harbor there, he's upset because he wanted the Sellers Harbor stack, but then Sellers went one pick before his. Sorry, brother. It's part of being on the stream. Chris asks, thoughts on Roebuck pivoting to the slot there at Washington. Ethan, you got thoughts on that?
I had to get my pick in. Roebuck in the slot. I'm just hoping that this Washington offense, I've talked about it a little bit on Ballin with my bestie, but like I'm a little nervous and on edge about this Washington offense and how the chemistry is. Obviously, that whole demand debacle in this offseason has been something interesting and kind of unprecedented that I'm really interested in seeing how the team responds to him. That said, I mean, I'm getting a good deal of Roebuck. I'm getting a good deal of Rashid Williams. Like they're going late enough, and this is 8-2 Buffalo Shoes. We're in many leagues together, so I don't think his feelings are going to be hurt about me poo-pooing that a little bit on such an early pick there. So I think it's a little bit rich for my blood, but I mean, in this range, guys like Marsh, Brown, who went just ahead of him, like those are kind of similar guys who have tremendous potential, but you're just not 100% sold on what exactly their offenses are going to look like this year. So I mean, it makes total sense for Roebuck to be going in the neighborhood there, but I'm a little on edge about the bottom dropping out, but I think that there's very much juice in the squeeze for grabbing him.
Oh no, I mean I agree. Like Roebuck is a good pick. I mean I got him at. Oh Mitch, I knew you were gonna do it. And you still did it. You still did. I was holding out hope that you would be nice to me, and he didn't. He took C.J. Miller there. That's my boy. I knew I shouldn't have left that, but again, there was no way I was gonna leave Weigman still on the board and hope that he makes it back. I mean, look at how many quarterbacks came off here. Hellum, Sellers, Arnold, Velkamp. They're like Hoover. Zero chance Weigman would have made it back to me. But Miller, I had a chance, and fortunately, 'twas not meant to be. But yeah, Roebuck, I got wide receiver 38. I mean, Rashid Williams as well. I've got him. Where are you, Rashid? Got him up pretty high. Thought I had him up pretty high. Where are you, Rashid? Can't find you. Oh, yeah, wide receiver 62. And that's with a little bit of a confidence discount on Rashid just because he's coming off of injury and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I think both of those, again, I agree. Both of those guys are great picks in drafts right now.
Here's the shameless underdog plug too. If you guys are in agreement with those numbers, hop in those underdog drafts because Roebuck and Williams are going so late. Roebuck, he's creeping up a little bit now. I think he's 8th or 9th round in a P4 only draft. But Rashid Williams, you're able to get, man, 17th, 18th, 19th round if he's drafted at all. So scoop him up.
God, you guys are killing me right now. Like Wade coming off the board, Miller coming off the board. What's next? You gonna take the last 3 guys in my queue here? As it makes it like I got 3 picks in front of me. If y'all go 1, 2, 3 here, I'm just gonna end the stream right now.
I think they have to, even though 2 of them already have tight ends. I think they have to, like, especially after dogging that trade as green because there's so much value. It's gonna just fall to you.
But no, it's not tight end picks. It's other picks. I mean, the top 5 tight ends are off the board now. I gotta pivot my strategy at tight end. I'll probably have to reach up for a guy here.
There's plenty of guys that are
there's great upside guys here at this point, right? All right, I'm on the clock here. Been a while since I've taken a running back, so maybe I go ahead and go that direction here. Guy who's injured in the spring. But if he's healthy, he's going to be the number 1 back for this offense. I'll go Wayman Jordan here. So, don't feel super confident about that. But again, running back's going to dry up relatively soon here. And so, I'll take an upside shot on a guy like that. And then I'm going to I'm going to put a few more running backs in my queue. I think that I'm going to save for that. Not this 10th round pick, but I think we'll just see who falls to me at the 11th round pick. And then that'll be 6 running backs that I've taken so far, and so that'll leave me plenty of room for the rest of the draft. I think at the position.
Feeling good about your 6 running backs over there.
I'm feeling good. I feel pretty good. Like if I can get these 6 running backs, or if I can get these 5 running backs, and then one of these guys that I have in my queue to fall to me in the 11th round, I would feel pretty good about that first 6 start.
That's fair. And I mean, we talked. I might have been before the stream, but that 9 spot is can be a tricky one. So
yes, it is. Like as I kind of talked about before the stream, I got lucky with Raymond here falling to me at the 9 pick, because otherwise I'd feel way worse about like some of the options that fall to me at the 9 pick. Not that these aren't good players, obviously. I mean, they're going first round, but they're also. Ooh, that's a brutal pick by Buffalo. Choose there with Carp, because Carp could have gotten that Roberts and Hardy stack, but 'twas not meant to be. But yeah, I got lucky in the first round there with Raymond. Again, not that these guys otherwise wouldn't be good picks. It's just that a lot of them really don't feel like first round picks for CFF. And then the second round as well. I mean, that 2-4 is pretty brutal as well. Like you're quickly looking at guys and be like, none of these guys really feel like early second round picks. Yeah. And so you don't really know what to do. But so you just got to get lucky.
Some wart on them for sure.
For sure. All right, I'm going to keep loading up here a little bit. I think I'm going to hit quarterback again here. This is a best ball format, and there's a specific guy I'm looking at here that tells me that, just based on what he was doing last year, it's hard to pass up a potential 1,000-yard rusher at the quarterback position. And
if people have listened to Chasing the Natty and a few of these, they know who it is. They know
exactly who this is, and Plowman's probably sitting here waiting, try to piece together as many clues as he can to try to snipe me here. And it's not going to be very nice if you do so, Mr. Plowman, but it's all good if you do.
It's going to be really bad if he does that.
I hate you, Ethan. I hate you, Ethan. Don't do it. You didn't have to do that. No, he's the one that's on auto, right? Like he's the one that's kind of just letting the timer run out, I think.
Might be. He might get away with it here.
Mike, yep, we're good. All right, yeah, I'm taking Creel. It's almost an auto pick for me once we get past 10. Oh, Carson Hansen coming off 10. Dang, I thought people were so off of him that he would make it back to me in the 11th, because that was the guy I was really eyeing to make it back to the 11th. And I guess it was not meant to be. Flores has been killed. I think Flores might be using my rankings. I'm not gonna lie, because like
that's fair.
I'm not like Not saying that
What
an
are they there for,
accusatory
Jared?
for
What are
like
they there for?
I like it's actually kind of crazy like how many times like the pick after my pick he is like I'm deciding between two guys and he takes the other guy. Like
Yeah,
Wesco
he's up
here.
there with
Wesco,
Jackson
Dwyer,
and Dwyer.
Jackson, like
Yeah.
Helms, these are all guys like they're right next to each other in my rankings. So like I think he might legitimately and if he is, again, that's fine. Like I put them out there for a reason. But man, is it frustrating when I'm actually drafting right next to it because it means there's no value that's gonna fall here, man. So all right. Roger Robinson's a good pick there. RJ's on the clock right now. Let's see, any more questions in the chat? It's been minutes since I checked. No questions in the chat. So if you guys want your opportunity to ask a question, now is the time to do so. So, and all right, we're about 50 minutes into the draft already. So pretty slow going draft. Dude, last week we flew through the draft. Oh my God, it was crazy. I don't know if it was because it was on Blue Chip or whatever, but like I swear to God, we got done within like an hour 40. And we legitimately just had to almost stall for time to like fill out the full 2 hours afterwards because like and we had good discussion. Don't be wrong, but it was kind of crazy like how quickly things finished. And versus this one, we're
got lots of
40 minutes into the draft because I forget we started at 8:10.
Yeah.
And so we're 4 minutes into the draft. We're only about a third of the way through, so we're probably going about 2 hours tonight, which is fine by my estimate. Again, House of the Dragon's not going anywhere, so.
Is that good? I watched season 1 and then there was a big break and I haven't gotten back.
I would recommend it. Like, don't like
Yeah.
I will tell this. I don't know if anybody out there listening right now. And by the way, forgive us. We will talk about nerdy stuff here for just a second. Do not, and I repeat, do not engage with the Twitter sphere on that show whatsoever. I have dealt with a lot of miserable fan bases in my life. Star Wars being the most like prominent one. The House of the Dragon fan base legitimately might be one of the most miserable fan bases I've ever seen in my life. Holy crap. The nitpicky crap that they complain about and they act like they're like the showrunners are ruining the world of George R.R. Martin, which is just bonkers to me because the whole House of the Dragon tells the story of the Dance of the Dragon, which is like this big war in A Song of Ice and Fire, right? And the book that it's based on is almost like a textbook. Like it was written as if it's like a textbook within that world, which means it's propagandized, it's false information. And then they complain that the show doesn't fully follow it to the letter. And I'm just like, you guys are missing such a great opportunity to find like such a fascinating difference between the show and the book to see like what was propagandized afterwards. Like if you open your eyes, it's a really cool thing that you could like experience, but no, you're too focused on, well, they didn't do it just like the book, so this is bad. It's like, it's really good though. I do highly recommend it. And it's not too much. Like again, it's like 8 episodes per season. So, and they're all about an hour long.
No, it's
obviously don't watch it with Tiny Guy, but.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's, a little young for the Westeros experience.
a little young. Don't think to yourself, oh, dragons, he'll love that.
No, we got other shows for that.
No, How to Train Your Dragon, Race to the Edge, man. Highly recommend that on or it might be on Peacock now. I can't remember, but
okay.
All How to Train Your Dragon shows are pretty solid. I would recommend that for the Tiny Guy.
We've gotten lots of. We're big movie people in our household, so it's been an adjustment with having a kid and trying to find time to go and watch movies and all that. Especially he's like in that age where he's not actually sleeping great in the middle of the night, and he's like too aware of what's on the screen. So we need to like last night we did the new Toy Story. We went to the drive-in and saw the new Toy Story. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, enough movie talk. The Critics to Cinema podcast will be out one day, but that is not today. Let's talk about your last 2 picks here, Ethan. You got Kevin Jennings and Sire Gaines. What was your thought process behind those last 2 picks?
Well, Jennings he's honestly was somebody who I was contemplating between him and Hoover on that one in the 9th. I just feel like Kevin Jennings, the style of offense that he's in is going to really thrive on a quarterback who this is his 3rd year in the system and being the starter. 4th year in the system, 3rd as the starter, I believe. And even in his freshman year, I feel like he got some run. So yeah, I think he's going to put up good numbers. I think they've got enough talent around him, and I don't trust that running back room to
Hmm.
be enough to carry this offense. So I think, Raphael is decent, but I think that they're really going to need to feature a solid passing attack and a pretty heavy passing attack. So I like Kevin Jennings there. He's got the rushing upside as well. So I think that there's a good opportunity for him to put up some points this year.
Okay, first of all, Robert confirmed not using my rankings because I can promise you Greg Burrell is not that high. Robert, I don't know if you're in the chat or if you're on the Twitter, and if you're listening, let me know in either one of those channels if you want that Burrell pick replaced there. I was going to go running back here, but there is one wide receiver that's still on the board here that I think is a pretty good value at this point. I'm going to go Trey Richardson here, the supposed wide receiver one for Louisville, despite the fact that he's playing out of position, right? Typically, it's the outside guy that gets a lot of love there, but he'll be moving to the slot. But we've seen it before with Rondale Moore. And honestly, that's the craziest season a wide receiver's had under Jeff Brom. So fingers crossed, here's hoping as my wide receiver 3, he can give me a Rondale Moore-like season. Obviously, that's asking a lot, but when you're in the 11th round, you're asking a lot of your receivers at that point. And to your point about Kevin Jennings, Kevin Jennings, quarterback 33 last year, and that's with him basically losing all his rushing production. Because he had rushing production the year before, and this past year he had almost none.
Felt like he was nursing an injury most of the year.
And the fact that he's still finishing the top 36 quarterbacks, even without that, tells me he's probably one of the highest floor quarterbacks you can draft in leagues this year. So a great pick and a good one to pair with Kamario Taylor, especially. Like if you're going to upside with Taylor, you grab Jennings as a good solid floor option there.
Yeah. Are you scared off at all about Louisville and the potential that their offense is just bad this year?
I think that Brom is a smart enough coach that he'll get it figured out, even if they start off rough.
It's a good point.
If Keaton Holtz doesn't do well throughout the first couple of games, especially like one or two conference games, and he doesn't do well, I think Brom will make the switch to Widner. Widner was brought in because he has a lot of experience versus Holtz does not. And if like they're going with Holtz because he's got the upside, right? He's a former blue chip prospect. He's got the legs, right? They want to be able to utilize those legs like they did with Tyler Shuck a little bit. But if the passing game's not there, that's a staple of Jeff Brom's offense. And so if he's not able to pass the ball, they'll make the switch and they'll be fine the rest of the year, I think.
Yeah. My worry is that there may be it's almost like the doomsday scenario. It's like they're just good enough because Isaac Brown is able to carry them and like be productive.
True.
That like maybe the switch doesn't happen. But no, I to your credit, like that Brom is one of the few guys I would say I trust him to figure something out offensively.
I would agree. And Colin Hoffman says in the chat that Louisville wide receivers will be better with Widner. I 100% agree. Like I don't think there's any doubt about that. That like if we're rooting for Trey Richardson, we are rooting for Widner to eventually be the starter. But I'm also rooting for the fact that Holtz potentially could be a one-read quarterback, right? Like he just looks for Richardson, and it's like pull the ball from Isaac Brown, look for Richardson. Is he open? No, tucks off and runs, right?
One of the Chris K mantras on Ballin with my bestie is that player's not good, but do we care though? Like
do we need him to be actually good?
Exactly. There's so many guys who can flourish here with opportunity and situation alone.
All right, I'm gonna go tight end here finally. I'm going to go Juice Farine here, one of the higher upside tight ends left on the board here. 12th round. I feel like I'm going to play with fire if I leave him on the board any longer here. Didn't go running back. I did have some guys fall back to me in the 11th round, but again, just with Richardson being there and Farine being there, I think I'm going to chance it at running back a little bit more here. And hopefully, some good people fall to me here. Gator Freak for Life says, Udo in the 11th. I like it. Is he the clear RB1 at Liberty? Is he the clear RB1 at Liberty? No. Is he who I would consider the favorite to be the RB1 at Liberty? Yes, but I will also put an asterisk on that and say that we have been not so great at guessing who the RB1s will be at Liberty when the room is wide open, right? Obviously, when you have a guy returning, it's a little bit easier then. But like last year, good God, I mean, we drafted pretty much everybody but Evan Dickens, it felt like last year. And this year, they've got, like Udo, I expect to be the RB1, but they brought in like 5 different guys, right? They brought in Justin Marshall out of Colorado State. They bring in Cam Davis out of Florida State, a former, I can't remember, he's definitely a top 5 back for his recruiting class, right? And then they bring in Teron Kelman out of Wyoming. And then you also bring back Jalen Coleman from last year, who was ripping off like 10 yards a carry. Granted, he's a small guy, so I wouldn't expect him to be like the clear RB1 for Liberty. But quite frankly, it's going to be just a big mess, right? It's going to be I think it'll be a big mess to start, and they're going to wait for somebody to pop off from there. I would say, again, Udo's probably the guy I would bet on to be the one to pop off. I do think that what you said, he went off in the 11th round here. Yeah, 11-11. That's a little rich for my taste. Like, I think you still got a lot of solid floor running backs still in this range that you can kind of work with. Speaking of solid floor running backs, I like that DJ Scott pick there. Ethan, not one of the guys I was looking at here. I think he's a little bit down my projections just because of the fact that he's playing 11 games compared to 12 for a lot of these guys. But again, solid pick at running back there.
This is a really fun portion of the draft. I feel like there's a lot of names that have just really great upside still hanging out there.
Yeah, then not North Dakota State team. We're expecting them to do pretty well that first year in the Mountain West, right? Like,
I think so. I actually remember I was talking with somebody who was excited about the different play styles in the Mountain West. Tyler Schuster, he's one of the guys at Athlon and Solid Verbal. But he was talking about how the Mountain West will actually spiritually have more Pac-12 After Dark energy than the actual Pac-12 this year, with UNLV with Mullen and Alejado
Yeah.
at Hawaii, like very schematically different than say this North Dakota State offense. So like lots of fun matchups to be had there for sure.
no, I'm looking forward to both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West. Those are just two conferences I'm expecting a lot of points out of this year. All right, who are you looking at here, Ethan?
I'm gonna dabble a little in that G5 realm here, and go with Rodney Nelson from Miami, Ohio here.
I think the big thing with Nelson, right, is that we need Miami of Ohio to move away from their stupid habit of giving their best running back a ton of carries between the 20s and then giving it to somebody else at the goal line.
Exactly. Lots of frustrated Wednesday nights if you've been rostering Miami, Ohio running backs.
We got a question from FrogFan1 here, Ethan. I'm sure you're going to love this question. It's a G6 question here. Are there any draftable players from Sacramento State? Sacramento State being one of the other team moving up from the FCS this year. Obviously, we just discussed North Dakota State, and North Dakota State's got 3, maybe 4 draftable players, I would say, on their roster. Sacramento State's the harder one because, quite frankly, we're expecting Colorado or Sacramento State to be pretty bad. They've not been a great program. They just lost Ben and Marion as their head coach. They made a pretty, I don't want to call it uninspired because I feel like that's not giving the guy a chance, but it's not a hire you're looking at and saying like, whoa, Sacramento State, can't believe you got that guy.
Yeah.
And so we're expecting them to not be very good. They're running a trial period in the MAC. I don't know if you knew this, Ethan, but they're not actually joining the MAC. They're like doing a trial period for a couple of years, and then them and the MAC will decide if it's working out for them or not. Which
I gotta say though, I think Frog Fan 1, is that who we said had this one?
yeah.
He must have some insider knowledge, knowing that I did the Sac State write up in the guide this year.
Oh,
So
well, look at that, Ethan. Like,
yeah,
so then talk to me. Like, who are the draftable players here?
only in very, very deep or like max specific best balls would I consider anybody, but like Jamar Curtis is one of the lone carryovers from last year. He's going to be the likely starting running back for them. He was not a starter last year, but he had a part in that committee. It is kind of interesting at quarterback. They have Carson Conklin, who actually was at Fresno last year, but before that was at Sac State. And so coming back now to a new coach and new offensive coordinator, so like it's weird, like he's returning, but there's not really any continuity there.
Yeah.
He's expected to be the starting quarterback, but I think it's going to be a pretty run-heavy team, and Jamar Curtis is going to be the guy who I'd expect. But I think they're just so raw and new talent that like they don't have any returning offensive linemen. So what are you going to do there? We'll
I
we'll
mean,
see how they gel though.
the good news about them being a run-heavy team is that Carson Conklin's a rushing quarterback,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
So like that's going to help him out a little bit there. But I would agree with you. Curtis would be the only one that I'm like really, really looking at
Yeah, that
on that
OC
front.
was with Brian Harsin at Boise and Auburn, so not
That
necessarily exciting offenses
I was
to
say that's
replicate.
I was say you gave me some very uninspired names there for him to be tied to. Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
Ethan. So,
Mhm.
yeah, we're definitely not loving that aspect of it. By the way, good pick there by Darius. Kirby Voorhees is one of the running backs that I was looking at coming back to me here in the 13th round. But instead, I went Cam Edwards. He was the other running back I was looking at there. Um, I think he'll end up being pretty good at Michigan State. There's a lot of talk coming out of the spring that he's like the clear RB1 in that backfield, right? I mean, he was super successful at UConn for a reason last year. The only question just becomes, is Michigan State going to be good enough for it to matter,
Yeah.
right? Like, who cares if he gets 200 carries if he has 5 touchdowns at the end of the year, right? They need, I'm not going to, Malivio Sheck? I'm not
Oh
even
yeah.
close. Regardless, they need the quarterback play to increase. They need somebody to step up at wide receiver. Dear God, that's a barren room right there. All right, tight ends are flying off the board here. I already got my boy Vereen, but you know what? What might as well grab one of my other favorite tight ends this year. I'll grab Grant Hollier and just shore up my tight end room there. And I think probably just to play it safe, I'll probably grab one more tight end. I think I have to make it like a power 4 tight end just to kind of balance out, Vereen and
Okay.
Hollier there. Great pick there, Darius, once again with Anthony Eager. That's another guy I was kind of looking at here potentially. And I do probably need to draft some wide receivers at some point. It's been, well, I
I'm in the
got
same boat.
Richardson, but it's been, I got three wide receivers and we're almost in the 15th round.
You've got one more than I do, so we are playing fast and loose. Granted, when you go Jeremiah Smith early, like you have to make some choices.
No, for sure, right? And you again, technically, you have two a year ago. You got 2 of the top 4, or you got the top 2 like Devi wide receiver
Sure.
picks, right? So you got to feel good about your talent there.
Yeah,
So does
there's
that mean you're going wide receiver here in the 14th round?
not necessarily. I mean, I have really loved going pretty soft at wide receiver late or until late in drafts in all of the underdog formats. So I have some guys who I think are probably going to last, another 5 or 6 rounds. I may be going running back here if somebody falls. There is a wide receiver though that I do like here.
All right, real quick, I'm gonna pop up this chat here real quick and get it to go all the way down. Once again, stuck on the stream. Ah! Sorry, y'all who want the stream on the chat, or oh my god, want the chat on the stream for some reason is once again just glitching out and not wanting to scroll down.
I've
I
noticed it do that.
don't know why it does that. By the way, Gundy Gang or Mac, if you're in the chat, can you explain to me this Gant pick here? That's not a name I'm familiar with, and if you got insider knowledge, please let me know. I'm curious because that's a shot across the bow in terms of my Ashton Gray love. So if you know something, let me know. Chris has hit the white arrow. That's not how that works, Chris. That's not how that works. This is like a screen, not a screenshot, but this is like it's um this is like a viewing window into the chat. But I don't know what viewing window it's looking at because actually, you know what? Let me try something real quick. I'm just gonna. Why do I have? Oh wait, I got it. Where's my chat box? There it is. Refresh. There we go. I just had to hit refresh. There we go. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. Max says, "Sorry, my mistake." Well, I mean, Mac, I'm a generous god when it comes to these streams. So if you want to replace that Gant pick, if that was a mistake, please let me know. I'm happy to do so for you, man. Let's see. Did have a question or a comment really from, or no, this question. Kenny Limpsum 726 or 762 here says, since running back is so deep, doesn't it make more sense to get wide receiver while everyone else is getting running back or grabbing a top quarterback and tight end ahead of everyone else? Kenny, we had a full discussion on this at the start of the draft on the viability of like a zero or hero RB approach to CFF, and I'll relitigate it here just very quickly. But basically, my argument is that the whole point of that is you're getting an advantage by drafting heavily at other positions outside of running back. And at quarterback, there's too many good quarterbacks, so you're not really getting a huge advantage by drafting the likes of, Jackson, Trinidad Chambliss, Arch Manning, guys like that. Like, obviously, those are very good players, and they're going ahead of other quarterbacks for a reason, but it's not like an astronomical difference. Maybe Jackson, but you're not getting an astronomical advantage there. And then at wide receiver, the number of good known wide receivers just dries up so quickly that you're going to run out of those guys within 2 to 3 rounds. And so you're not really gaining much of an advantage by hitting other wide receivers after that point. So that's just kind of my deal. And tight end, I already said that I don't really view Trey Green as worth going ahead of the rest. All right, he says he wants Hyder instead of Gant. That's fine with me. There you go. All right. Frog Fan 1, another question here. He says, how does the Jackson State running back room look after Cam Cook leaves? Frog Fan, I hate to break it to you, man, but your guess is as good as mine. And your guess is as good as every beat reporter and every source we potentially have on that back room. Because I kid you not, Frog Fan, every source I've looked at has named a different RB1 for Jackson State. Like, I don't think anyone knows what's going on there. I don't know if the coaching staff really knows what's going on there. I think they still got a lot to figure out there, but like, I've heard everyone from Christian Lando to Justice Savage to Jalen Likely to Chris Kwame to Andrew Paul. Like, they've got like 5 guys in there that it's just like whoever you ask feels like they're naming a different guy. And so if you're going to ask me which one would I take the shot on, maybe Lando, but I think there's a really decent shot that we're looking at a full-on committee there, because even the coaching staff doesn't really know what they want to do there.
Feels like the coaches were trying to find a leak, the way that the different sources had different information.
No, honestly, honestly like is kind of the way it feels. All right, Ethan, you took 2 wide receiver picks there, and Pegan and Rashid Williams. Those are 2 solid guys. I'm going to go wide receiver here as well. I'm going to go Jaden Barnes out of Charlotte, just playing off of that, just playing off of the Tim Albin system there. God, we love the slot wide receivers for Tim Albin. And Jaden Barnes leaves a pretty good situation at App State in order to come over here to Charlotte to be, what I assume is to be the main guy in this offense. So I'm just going to hope that's the case and hope my wide receiver 4 pops off because of that.
Totally. Makes sense. I was in one of those AAC drafts and got heavy into what this Charlotte room is going to look like and that offense in general. But it should be pretty fun. I'm bullish for Albin and that staff going there.
I'm hoping so, man. They got to get that quarterback situation figured out because Harrell's still injured. Grayson Loftus is a disaster waiting to happen.
I think Cole Gonzalez, if for whatever reason Harrell isn't gonna make it work, Cole Gonzalez is getting some decent hype too.
Okay. Question: does Gonzalez run?
That is a great question. I am not sure.
Oh, good pick there by Buffalo Shoes. Keelan Russell there in the 15th round. That's a solid quarterback pick this late.
For sure on that one.
All right, I think I could go quarterback here, but I think I'm going to hold off and draft me another wide receiver. Yeah, I think I'll draft me another wide receiver here that is...
Why choose when you can draft someone who's both, man?
Listen, if you take him, that's going to break my heart because you'll be driving up his ADP like crazy, right? If you did that. Because I like getting him late. Don't do this to me, Ethan. So, But no, I'm not going to take him because I do think that I can get him a little bit later. And he's actually not even really the next guy on my wide receiver list right now. But there is one guy that I know for a fact I'm playing chicken if I let him go another round. I'm going to go Katie Hutchinson here out of Western Kentucky. Top receiver returning for Western Kentucky. It's still Tyson Helton's offense here. It is still, an air raid system. They bring in Bodie Reeder as the offensive coordinator, and typically the last couple of years has been that outside guy that's been the main target for this West Kentucky offense, but Bodie Reeder sure loves himself a good slot. Guess where Katie Hutchinson plays? In the slot.
It's fair. I'm giving my guy Cam Flowers one more year before I let him break my heart again. So
I would say, unfortunately for you, Ethan, he's the third wide receiver I would draft out of this room. I got one more guy ahead of him. Alrighty. We are through the 15th round, so this is a good time to remind everybody that if you have not already, if you're listening to the show and you are enjoying the content we have here, please, one, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these live streams here in the future. Make sure you like the stream so that we get in front of the eyeballs of other people who would be interested in this content. The YouTube algorithm loves it. I don't know if during live streams, if you have that little hype button down in the bottom right corner or like underneath the video, but if you do, please click that. That helps us out a lot as well. All of this is free, and it does nothing but help us. And then two, it's not two. I think I've named like 4 things already. But if you guys have other friends who are into college football and just want a place to hang out every Sunday night and just discuss college football, talk about these different players, invite your friends to come hang out with us, right? This is a great way to introduce them to college fantasy. Tons of players on the board. They can just be entertained by seeing the number of names coming off the board here. They can ask questions in the chat. Ethan and I, we could talk college fantasy all night, but if you want to ask just regular college football questions, like who do we think is going to win the national championship this year, things like that, we're totally down to talk that kind of stuff too. So, again, help us out. Appreciate it. As Chris B says in the chat, tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Again, it's a good time here. We have a good time every Sunday night here. All right, trying to make sure I didn't miss any chats. It looks like we just got some discourse on Gagliano in the chat here, but it is all good. Ethan, you took Isaiah Horton here. That is your 5th wide receiver.
Yep.
So are you expecting Horton to replicate what Casey Concepcion was doing last year?
Not necessarily. But I've just heard a lot of really good things about Horton coming out of College Station. He's being viewed at, and I mean, coach speak, hyperbole, I'm going to put that disclaimer out there, but he's being compared a lot to Mike Evans in just the way that they want to use him in this offense. I was a believer in Horton last year, and he did well when called upon. So I'm more than willing to take a shot on him in this, mid-range. I think he's a good option at this point.
Alrighty, you're back on the clock here, sir. What else you got?
Going Jacoby Williams. Gonna snag another handcuff. Not my handcuff this time, but
It's my handcuff, you jerk.
yeah. So I like Jacoby to be able to replicate a lot of what he did last year. It's funny that Dickey is still going as strong as he is. You know, he's definitely earned his role, but Quentin Joyner, the buzz and the hype about him coming to the program last year was just really, I think people are forgetting how excited everybody was for him to be there. Obviously, the injury last year was a bummer, but Joyner stylistically is likely to cut in more, I think, to Dickey's role rather than Jacoby Williams. I think Jacoby's going to have a pretty unchanged role. Maybe they cut back a little bit just because they don't want to take Dickey off the field too much. But yeah, I think Jacoby's in for a good opportunity with PPR here too. It's a great opportunity, I think.
No, I definitely agree, and I would certainly agree that among the options there, that he is or that he is the least likely to be impacted. Ah, man, my boy Dab's coming off the board there. Oh, I'm on the clock. Let's see. I gotta probably take some quarterbacks here. Let's go. Where do I want to go with this? let's see. Let me look at my roster real quick. I've got, what is it? Minikuchi, Wegman, and Creel. A little G6 heavy so far, so I think I'm going to probably go safe option at power in the power. Well, I could probably wait on him. So screw it. We're going upside here. Let's go Quinn Hennicle out of Old Dominion.
Oof, I literally just put him in my queue.
Well, guess what? I just took him out of it.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I think I'll go power 4 quarterback on the way back here, just kind of give myself a little bit more safe floor, most weeks, at least those first couple of weeks.
I mean, I was gonna say it, and then I saw a joke. His name starts with M, right? There's like 8 guys in the just standard queue that are quarterbacks with their first name starting in M.
I've got. You said M or N?
M, as in Michael Hawkins, who was one of those guys
He was one of the guys I was looking at, but I think Hennicle offers a bit more upside. Now all the M quarterbacks are going to come off the board. There's the N quarterback.
Love to see it.
Yeah, Malik Wash, not one of the guys I was looking at, but definitely a guy that kind of fits well into this range. Nathan Hayes, another good one there. I like that Jeremiah Hasley pick. Jeremiah Hasley, I've kind of thought about this a little bit more. He strikes me as one of those tight end picks that feels so boring, but could be so huge this year. I mean, Duke, like, they don't have a lot coming back in terms of, like, known commodities. I mean, you got Javen Nicholas, you got Jared Richardson and stuff like that, but he's the guy coming back. And look at that, another M quarterback, Mason Aishaw off the board, but I'm going to go an N quarterback here. I'm going to go Noah Fafita out of Arizona. And that pretty much...
he's the current leader of touchdowns among like active players, isn't he? Passing touchdowns.
I do believe so, but that's also because he started for like 4 years now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So like he's going into his 5th year, but also we've seen it time and time again. These guys who are coming back for their 5th year, been in college forever, they just absolutely explode their final year just because the coaches know, and let's be real, Arizona doesn't have great options at running back. I mean, Riscano's fine, but Antoine Roberts coming in, but could very well be that Arizona just goes almost full air raid this year to give Fafita that last hurrah. So that's the story time I'm telling myself here, Ethan. I'm sure you're nodding along because that's the kind of narrative street that you like to go down a lot.
Yeah.
Frog fan says, will someone take over Easton Messer's production at Florida Atlantic? Yeah, Easton Messer. Easton Messer's back. So we don't got to worry about anybody taking over his production there. Now, I will ask you, Ethan, who is your pick to be that wide receiver 2 at Florida Atlantic? Because that could be a pretty solid option as well. I mean, I'll let you answer.
I really like Kelby Valson, Texas Tech transfer. So he's familiar with the system. Seems like a guy who's kind of handpicked to come over and be the guy there. So like, I'm pretty excited about his opportunity. He has 2 years left, so theoretically he has the opportunity to be the Lone Ranger next year. But he would be my guy. I think I might be in the minority on that. I'm pretty sure, but Dom Henry, I believe, is the guy who most people are pretty excited about. So we'll see. I think it'll be a fun offense. Veltkamp, he needs to rein in the interceptions, but he needs some more help in guys wearing his own jersey for sure.
No, I agree with you. Both Velson and Henry, I think, are the 2 worthy guys to really take shots on afterwards. Because like those outside wide receivers, they'll need help on the outside there. Obviously, Messer's got the slot covered, and they did lose Asab Wasim from this past year, so they'll need somebody else to take over that secondary slot option. But I think Valson and Henry will get plenty of work on the outside there. It's just a matter of which one will be kind of the go-to guy on the outside. I think Henry established himself pretty well down the stretch. I think there's an argument to be made for both, but I would lean with the majority, I think, in that, Henry's been there. He's been in, now granted, so is Valson's. Valson's been in the system before as well, but, Henry has the most recent experience getting chemistry with Veltkamp, so I would lean towards that direction. Frog fan says, my fault. I thought I heard he was entering the portal. Not a bad assumption at this point to assume that every G6 star is entering the portal. So I don't fully blame you for just thinking that at some point along the way he entered the portal, because that's just how things have been. It's been pretty brutal, and it's honestly a miracle that we got Messer back, but I think he just really likes that system. So I like your quarterback pick there, Ethan. That's your first quarterback pick in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds.
Yeah, that tracks.
I mean, I'm with you, right? You draft like 2 to 3 at the start, and then later on you kind of hit it hard once things feel like they're starting to dry up a little bit at the position, and that's kind of in the secondary quarterback run range we're in right now. That's why I grabbed Hennikel, why I grabbed Fafita, and now I got 5 quarterbacks. I'm totally fine to just kind of sit back and wait from here.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Kay and I have been talking a lot about quarterbacks and how viable, in a 20 round draft, how viable drafting only 4 quarterbacks is. But like waiting on quarterbacks at this point, you probably want to at least have 4 or 5 quarterbacks in a 30 rounder like this. So
Oh no, for sure. No, I 30 rounder like this. I usually draft 6 quarterbacks.
I was saying at this point in time.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, you're
But
right.
no, yeah, definitely. I think I'm usually 7 in these 30 rounders is kind of my go-to.
I usually do a build of 6, 10, 10, and 3 tight ends for sure, and then that last spot is pretty flexible in terms of like which position I think needs the most help.
That's fair.
So speaking of positions that need help, I do think I need to draft another running back here at some point because it's been 5 rounds since I've taken a running back, and while I did say I was saving 3 running back spots for the last 5 rounds of the draft, definitely starting to dry up at the position a little bit here in terms of like, I don't even say known commodities, but like guys you feel a little bit better about. So I think I'll probably aim for that here, and then grab, whatever's left on the board after that. I need to think about my 3rd tight end at some point as well. Like I said, I'm probably going to go a power 4 guy. Good news is there's plenty of guys like that left on the board. If Luke Reynolds was still on the board, that would have been somebody I might have taken a look at. But no, Ethan, you won't let me have that.
I was between him and Bowman, so he went right after me. But yeah, I'm very bullish on Luke Reynolds this year. Obviously, very familiar with our former Penn State guys here, but um, Franklin loves Reynolds. I think Reynolds is going to really eat, especially with the lack of exciting names at wide receiver for Virginia Tech. And I mean, he's already got that rapport with assumed starter Ethan Grunkmeyer. So,
Alrighty, Ethan, this is a question for you. You'll like this one. This is some drafting theory here for you. Chris asked in the chat, does the schedule change from going from 2 bye weeks to 1 bye week? Does it make more sense to take less quarterbacks and tight ends and hit more of the running backs and wide receivers? I know you guys have kind of discussed this on Ballin with my bestie a little bit. So I'll let you espouse your thoughts on that while I take Trey Cornice out of UConn here.
yeah, I'm a big proponent in altering strategy a little bit with the switch over to 1 bye week. I think, obviously a 20 round draft is different than a 30 round draft. But on those underdog 20 rounders, last year we were advocating 5 quarterbacks and then 6, 7 or 7, 6 with running back, wide receiver, however you want to slice it, and then going 2 tight ends. I think this year, absolutely, I'm pulling the trigger a lot more on a 4 quarterback build. Cutting down on bye weeks is pretty much the name of the game. But again, you have to think about the who you're trying to beat and what your roster is trying to do in one of those leagues versus one of these 12 team just redraft best balls. Your lineup really needs to be more consistently good in a contest like this, as opposed to those underdog ones. You get a little fluky with how many like what kind of teams other people drafted in your opening round, and then very fluky on guys just having crazy weeks during the playoff aspect of that tournament. So it changes a little bit, but I'm all for taking some more risks and going fewer quarterbacks because you pretty much know what you're going to get out of them. And then tight end, usually it's just not a big enough difference point wise and scoring wise to advocate taking too many of them.
I think you had said that the difference like last year for under best ball of like having the tight end 1 versus like tight end 25 was like a 4 point per week difference, and that's just really not enough to really make a huge difference in a competition like that, right? And even more so in a competition like this, right, where you're only having to do it against 11 other guys.
Yeah.
And I agree with you about the fact that, consistency is the most important thing. And so that means that you would want to, like, to me, that, like, that's why this year I've been a lot more comfortable with taking like 10 or 11 wide receivers, because wide receivers is already a very volatile position.
Yeah.
There's so much less known at the position this year, and so I think it's worth taking more shots at that position and sacrificing a tight end spot or a quarterback spot potentially, and just riding out with those guys. Obviously, you always check your bye weeks. Speaking of, let me check my bye weeks. Oh my god! Oh god, that's 3 quarterbacks gone on week 9. So that's something I got to keep an eye out for with my 6th quarterback. So Rodney Tisdale, you're off the board.
So I realize I'm in some tight end bye week trouble, but that's not as major as the quarterback.
I am as well. Both of my tight ends so far are on bye week 6. So who does that remove from me? None of the guys I was looking at. All right, so that we're pretty okay there. But that sucks, because now week 6 I have to take whoever I have.
Totally.
So, you know what I can do though? If I remember correctly, I think we have a schedule matrix that we are building on campus to Canton. I can't remember if it's through the Best Ball package.
The Best Ball one, obviously it's P4 only, but yeah.
Well, the good news is I'm looking at
looking at some P4 options there.
I'm looking at some P4 options here, so maybe I take a look at that and see where's the schedule matrix. Am I dumb? I thought we had one. I'll find it later. I'll just have to draft blind tonight. I'm on the clock. All right, let's see. Going wide receiver here. Now I feel comfortable taking the guy that's both wide receiver and quarterback. Let's go Anthony Garcia here.
There we go.
I love me some Anthony Garcia. I love, like, him and Javon Robinson both, I think, are both pretty good picks here. And honestly, I think a pretty good late stack if people want to go with that. With them and McKay Hillstead, because McKay Hillstead, I think you're going to get one of two things. You're either going to get McKay Hillstead chucking the ball a ton this year, because Bronco Mendenhall's systems do kind of throw the ball around quite a bit that people don't really realize. And so you're going to get production that way, or even though McKay Hillstead hasn't really proven that he's much of a rusher, they could surprise us all and still run him like they've been running a lot of their quarterbacks the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's not the upside of like a Bryce Perkins or a Brennan Armstrong or something like that, but if he's getting 10 carries a game, still feel pretty good about that. And you get some passing production. We feel pretty good about the idea that McKay Hillstead's probably a better passer than Bryson Barnes was last year. So, yeah, that's pretty good late stack, and I assume now, because I've talked about that, McKay Hillstead will almost certainly not make it back to me in this next round, but we will see what people do there. We did have a question. This is a question for you, Ethan, because you took this guy. Will Isaiah Horton steal end zone targets from Mario Craver?
I think that's the play. If you're drafting Isaiah Horton, you've got to kind of hope that that's the case, at least a little bit. And I think again, like, hearing the staff and the people around the program being excited about him in the way that they were excited about Mike Evans. I mean, obviously it's a different offense, different staff, all of those things. You got to think that he's showing enough in his ability to separate and his ability to make contested catches that you're hoping that the red zone production and the red zone opportunities are going to be there. So I'm team yes on that question. What about you, Jared?
I think I'm pretty team yes as well. There's been a lot of talk about how Horton brings a different skill set to that wide receiver room than the rest of that room offers, and a big thing is that he's the big body. Right, he can help be that big end zone target. They don't really have a tight end that they're going to be able to rely on to be that big body target down there. And so I do think that there's a decent shot that we see Craver lead in targets, lead in production, but it may be that Horton actually has most of the touchdowns by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So, Ethan, you took Duke Watson here in the 20th round, a little lower than where he's been going in the previous months. Do you feel good about him dropping?
I will take him there. There is a little bit of love for Tavion Swint, who I believe was pretty highly regarded, if I'm not incorrect there, coming out. I'm back on the clock, so I'm gonna take my time here. Let's see. I'll take Isaiah.
I,
Um, so I do think that we do get split backfield a little bit, but I mean it's Duke's to lose. So whatever Tavion Swint is able to carve out is because Watson hasn't been able to close the door. There's a chance Watson's just not as good as we thought he was. The production, the lack of being able to separate from Kewan Brown a little bit last year. I know injury was at play. Um, but I'd expect a little bit more out of Watson in his limited time that he's gotten snaps for Louisville. So we'll see if he's able to really command a room. But uh, I like him very, very much in the 20th round.
Ethan, you and I have pretty similar. Up there, there goes McCahill said. I knew I shouldn't have talked about him too much. You and I have pretty similar strategies where, again, we hit running back, we hit quarterback around the mid rounds. We typically wait on wide receiver a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you deal with the same problem where you know that because you're drafting wide receiver late, you should differentiate which wide receivers you take in that back end of the draft, right? Because they're going later for a reason. So you don't want to be too overexposed to one guy, but you still find the same guys sitting there at the top of your queue every draft, and you're just sitting there feeling like, oh, these feel like such great values.
I had to with Isaiah. Like he's textbook for me that I'm way overexposed on Isaiah Hunter. I need to sprinkle in some quasi as the season gets closer, but um I love this Nebraska offense. But yeah, I mean, from a game theory perspective, that is absolutely the name of the game is differentiate, differentiate, differentiate in anything that's the last, fifth of the draft, the last quarter of the draft, even like you want to start getting some exposure elsewhere. And anybody who's playing a large volume, like it's a portfolio game at that point. Like you really need to just spread yourself out, accept the guys who are on your draft list, and the guys who are on your do not draft list. Be okay with not getting any of them, but. I've run into issues being overexposed with a smaller player pool, particularly in Underdog. It's a scary spot to be underexposed on some great opportunities and some great options out there. So yes, differentiate a ton.
It differentiated a ton, but it like I said, for me, it's like every time I get to this, like these last 10 rounds, I'm staring at the same like 10 wide receivers at the top of my queue, and I'm like,
Oh, for sure.
I want to keep taking these guys because like in my projections they're great. Like if they go off and I'm right, like I'm gonna have them everywhere.
For
But
sure.
at the same time, it's like there's a reason why in the back end of the draft, like you should be like finding different guys to take shots on because that's all you're doing in the back end of these rounds is taking shots on guys. Otherwise, they'd all be going much earlier.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris is asking, who is on your do not draft list, Ethan? Who are the guys you are just straight up avoiding?
Straight up avoiding. That is a good question. Gosh, you would have asked me 2.5 weeks ago. It would have been the wide receivers in Washington. And it's so funny how ADP can swing you one way or another on a guy. So, caveat, coward's way out here, saying that they're on my do not draft list now. They may not be for too long, but I am a little worried about Iowa State. I know Chris B just took Jalen Rayner. And I have a good bit of Rayner, but from a talent perspective, I don't want much exposure to that offense in general. Um, Auburn players right now are pretty much on my do not draft list. I don't doubt that this offense can succeed in the SEC, but the big step up for Byron Brown, um, that wide receiver room is interesting. Guys like Koger, like I want to get behind, but I just can't necessarily see it, especially with Singleton still there. Like it seems like that's going to be a little bit. And then their running back room is just like an entire cluster of who knows what there. So it's tough. But I mean, they would be on my list. Um, yeah, I definitely have some guys. Oklahoma State guys, even like Wyatt Young, Drew Mestamaker. I'll make an exception for Caleb Hawkins, but like I'm very antsy about the way that offense is going to transition. I'm a little bit more bullish on them because they're in the Big 12 and defense is not as stout as it is in the SEC. Um, But yeah, I question whether or not these big programs are going to be able to make a splash in year one.
All right, I am. Oh, well, there's one of my tight end picks. I was kind of hoping would wait around for a little bit. Um, should have gone with it, and it's Robert. He's using my rankings, man. I should have known. I should have known that he knew that guy was at the top of my queue.
He was trying to throw you off with that Burrow pick.
Exactly. I will say, I don't have answers for every position, but because I was doing work for the running backs yesterday because of CTN's topic tomorrow, there are I was looking at running backs and where do I have them compared to ADP and stuff like that, and a couple of running backs that stick out to me is just I have them ranked way lower than what consensus would have them at. Telly Johnson out of Northern Illinois, I just struggle to see that offense scoring enough. As much as there might be a really solid volume for Telly Johnson there, the touchdown rate, both system-wise and for Telly himself, has been pretty rough last couple of years, so he's definitely further down in my rankings than I think a lot of people would expect. Kendrick Raphael, I have 0 shares of so far. I cannot pull the trigger on him in the 3rd, 4th round. Just not my thing. I hate saying it because he's my boy and he's a Bulldog, but Nate Frazier out of Georgia, I can't do it. There's too much split carries there at Georgia. And probably one that surprises a lot of people is Wayshawn Parker. I've got Wayshawn Parker down at RB 67.
Oof.
But it's everything to do with the fact that he's now entering his 3rd year with an offensive coordinator that doesn't like doing the bell cow deal.
Good at, yeah.
And to me, that's partially the systems that he's running into. But it's also the fact that you got 3 coaching staffs, 3 in a row that have basically said now, or I assume this year, because again, Kevin McGivern has never really had a bell cow back, so I assume it's going to happen again this year, that have looked at Parker and said, listen, you're great and all, but you're not going to, Christopher Battistel, you do not start drafting my round 25 running backs in round 22.
I was about to say that's the first pick that's really upset me is the June pick. I was just talking in Slack about how much I love him.
Dude, you listen to CTN tomorrow. It's the last running back that I cover, and I realize as I'm talking about him that what are we doing? What are we doing? June is a great value right now. Totally. I get it. Bill Belichick, everything. The program was a disaster last year. I think things will be better this year. But Christopher, you taking June before any of your post round 25 running backs, Mr. Battistel. That's war. That's a war.
The salt.
That's calling war right there. That made me mad. That made me mad. He was the top. He was as soon as round 26 hit, I was gonna be deep in June.
So funny.
But I guess he won't be going round 25 plus for very long here, especially after tomorrow's episode. But
it was your last chance, too.
This was my last chance. Is Jordan Washington off the board? Am I blank? Oh, are you talking about the tight end out of UNC? No, he is not off the board. Not really somebody I've really thought about because they got other tight ends there that they'll be juggling around with, including Jackson Warren and stuff like that. Chris says I timed out with Okura. Oh, sure, Chris. I'm sure that's what happened. You definitely didn't want to get a rise out of me whatsoever with that pick. Chris said, no, never mind. He said he timed out with Okura because he was too busy laughing at taking June from me. All right. Well, I'm glad I can make you laugh, Chris. All right. That was one of the wide receivers I was looking at there, and McEwen. I was going to try to differentiate and grab a piece of that Ohio State offense, but nope, that's not going to happen for me either here. So we're gonna keep looking. Let me look at my wide receiver room real quick because once again, I do try to balance a little bit between Power 4 and G6 exposure, mostly due to the fact that you those early weeks you need the Power 4 guys, and then as the season goes on, the G6 guys get a little better there. But let's see, I have 4. I have 4 and 4. I have 4 Power 4 guys and 4 G6 guys. I think I should be okay there. I can kind of draft, not willy-nilly, but just draft who I feel like here. Ethan, you took Trell Harris. That was one of the top wide receivers left on my board. I actually was I passed him on him this time because I do have quite a few shares of him. But I agree with you. I mean, Isaiah Sategna is great. Trell Harris is
I think
set
he's
to be
got
the
a good
outside
opportunity.
guy.
He's got a good opportunity to sneak up and sneakily be the best wide receiver that Oklahoma has this year. But
Oh, Frogfan was talking about the running back for Washington. No, that Jordan Washington is not off the board either. Why did I look it up when I saw Jordan Washington earlier? It just came up with the. That was super weird. What did I type in? Now because I still had it only set on tight end.
there you go.
Derp. Like, the tea is not working tonight, folks. I drank tea. I drank caffeinated tea before this to keep myself awake, and it's just not working here. Robert, Saya Bangura is unfortunately no longer in college. So, Robert, if you are listening, good sir, you need to pick somebody else. So let me know via Twitter or YouTube chat if you would like that replaced. As of now, I'm on the board. I should take another wide receiver here. And I'm gonna double up on that Western Kentucky offense. I'm gonna go Zion Taylor. That's the other wide receiver that I've been wanting to get some shares of. That's the number one guy.
That's just personally hate on Cam Flowers. I feel like you have a vendetta now.
It is not. There is some good word coming from the folks over at G5 Hive with the G6 fix. This was the first wide receiver name out of the beat reporter's mouth, and he is a former 4-star wide receiver from Georgia Tech, coming down to the CUSA here. A little big fish, small pond action here. As I said before, in recent years, that outside guy has been pretty much the wide receiver one for West Kentucky. I like Katie Hutchinson, obviously, but I'm going to double up there. And with Masuna off the board, I'm going to feel pretty pressured here to take another tight end, because he was one of the three tight ends that I was looking at here, and I don't think I want to be left holding the bag in terms of who my last tight end is going to be. There's other options I could go with, but like,
there's still some good names.
There's some good names, but in terms of like power 4 guys, I feel really good about. I think there's only 2 names really left that I feel pretty solid about. So I'll just grab one of those guys and then see what falls to me at wide receiver afterwards, because I got like 10 names at wide receiver I could go with.
Yeah, wide receiver, my queue is still pretty plentiful. I say that, but how many rounds we have left? We have another 6 rounds to go. So
exactly. Oh man, I could. All right. Again, while we have a little break here, once again, I'll remind everybody that as we enter these final 5 rounds, again, you guys drive the show. So if you've got questions or anything, any comments or anything, please drop them in the chat. Helps us come up with different things to talk about as we go through here. Ethan, as we get closer to the final 5 rounds, what are the things that you look for the most in those last 5 rounds, really for any position?
Yeah, I mean, outside of just filling the roster in the way that I want to fill it positionally, it's all about upside and who has the opportunity to crush with their season. So
give Ethan. That's some vagary. All right, what constitutes upside? What do you look for that screams upside to you?
I look for some contested rooms. For example, I'll throw this name out because I've got too much of him already. So down the stretch, a guy I've been drafting a lot. It's been Daryl Gill. I think he's a great example for like an offense. We know Trinidad Chambliss is going to be able to sling it. There's no reason to expect that this offense takes a major step back after we saw the way that they handled the postseason last year with Kiffin's step out the door. Great Flanagan pick, by the way. I love that.
Thank you.
But I really am going to be looking for guys who are in kind of murky situations. Oh gosh, who's the guy who transferred to Ole Miss? Cook, Jonte Cook.
Yes.
Like you don't know if Cook or Gill or
Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander are going to be the guy. And if Trinidad Chambliss puts up the season that we're expecting him to do with where we're drafting him, we have to expect that he could support two good wide receivers in that way. So that's absolutely the kind of guy who I'm looking for as we get later into these drafts.
All right, I took like I said, I took my last tight end there with Cooper Flanagan. I was deciding between him and somebody that I'm sure you're taking a look at here as your third potential tight end here, Ethan.
I can't. He's got a week 9 bye week. So, or are you looking at somebody else?
I'm looking at somebody else. I got a week 8 bye week for this guy that I'm thinking
Oh,
of
okay.
here.
Yeah, I'm looking at him too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's my boy. So yeah.
I would say I'm pretty sure you like this guy, so I would go ahead and take him here.
Fair. He might not make it back to me. I don't know.
It may not, because again, people like piecing together who we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I could see Chris grabbing another tight end. I think that Okora pick was his first tight end off the board, which is a lovely punt at the position. I like punting at tight end in these.
Well, don't give him the satisfaction of getting a pretty solid guy here in the 24th round. Ethan, I'm gonna bully you into taking this guy here in the 24th round.
There's two guys who I think are equally great. There's one guy who's my guy, and there's another guy who I know Chris K is all about. So
you already got Denicky. That's your my guy of my guys there. So.
Exactly.
We both went real my guy with our tight end rooms here because like Vereen, Hollier, Flanagan, like those might be the three most overexposed tight ends I have this year. If those three flame out, I'm in such trouble at tight end this year, dude. But I feel pretty good about all those guys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who your other guy would be because like, there's one tight end that's kind of screaming like he's really solid. You know he's going to get production in his offense. There's not really any question marks surrounding him.
Yeah.
Is your other guy more of an upside guy?
A little bit. Well, Norfleet just went.
Well,
so.
that was it. I bet
Great
John
job,
Wall was. I bet he pieced that together. That's a great pick. Norfleet's a really
saving
good
me
pick.
from myself here. So that's a great option. Well, if Norfleet's gonna go, I got to get my boy Bo, get him on here. So I needed another quarterback too.
Oh yeah, I need one more quarterback as well. I need to.
I'm probably gonna double up here, but
Let's see.
we'll see who
quarterback. I need. Probably need one more power 4 guy, but there's really not great options left at the quarterback position. So I might just have to ride with Weigman and Fafita as my 2 power 4 guys, and then the rest rely on my G6 guys because
it helps too that Weigman's got that matchup with Tech pretty early too. Like it's not a traditional. It's I think week 3 they're facing off. So
yeah. Because like again, the rest of the like, and I already said I'm not taking Tisdale as much as I want to because I drafted 2 of his wide receivers. You would think I would want that stack, but I can't afford another quarterback going off and coming off the board in week 9. I got 3 quarterbacks off on week 9 already.
Yeah,
you took a pretty good one there in JC French. I've come around on that one. I used to poo poo on French a lot, but I think he's a really good fit in that Scott Satterfield offense.
I get it. Yeah. He's really a favorite of my late round quarterbacks. He's, you're not necessarily getting somebody who you're super secure with, but how it's one of those situations with like how good does he have to be productive in this offense? And I don't think he needs to be a world beater to do that. So,
all right, I got a question for you, Ethan, from the chat here. How do you feel about the New Mexico State offense? Especially the running back room.
I think I did the New Mexico State.
Did you? All right, awesome.
Right.
Perfection. This guy knows, man. This guy knows which teams you've done.
I don't know. I can't bring it up right now. So I think I did. Let me double check really quick. I need to verify.
Oh good. I can stall here. I'm looking at a bunch of wide receivers here. I got 4 in my queue, and this is probably I won't say it's my last one because I could end up taking another one here, but I don't want to double. I already doubled up on Western Kentucky, so I'm probably not going to double up on Utah State here. I'll probably go Preston Bowman here out of Ohio, being talked about as a potential wide receiver 1 for that system. We know those slot receivers at Ohio have done us wonders. Yes, it's coaching changes and whatever. it's the same offense they've been running for this past decade. They keep hiring from within. They want to do the same thing, and those slot wide receivers get fed pretty much every single year. So I'll take the upside shot of that here in 25th round. And now I get to have some fun by drafting some last 5-round running backs. So
Oh yeah,
everyone,
what you teased, right?
what I tease. So, and you know what the crazy thing is? Of the 4 that I bring to the show tomorrow, 4 of them are still on the board. It would have been fine if Christopher Battistel didn't want to be such a jerk, take my best boy in Demon June there. But I've got 2 of Chris's here as well that I'm potentially looking at here in the last 3 rounds. Chris is probably loading them all up right now in his queue, ready to take a ball from me. But actually, how many running backs has Chris taken? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so he could really only take 1 more running back. So he hasn't really planned this out fully yet.
He can do whatever he wants.
I will say there goes one. Donald Chaney Jr., 25th round there at UL Monroe. I mean that's one of the guys I talk about on running back tomorrow. So that's one that I was considering here. He is not going to be the guy that I take here. Although I was kind of excited.
The New Mexico State question, was that strictly running back centric?
He said in general, but he said especially the running back room.
Especially the running back room. So they have a 3-headed monster. James Jones transferred in from Delaware State. TJ Washington coming in from Iowa, and then Dijon Stanley, who I believe was at Utah, are kind of the 3 guys in that backfield. I really expect it to be Jones and Washington as like the 2 main guys there. And this offense could be a little sneaky. As sneaky as a team that was 4-8 last year can be. Like they're still not a good team. But like Tyler King, who I really liked at Wyoming, he's got track speed. He was originally at Texas Tech. That's when I was drafting him and eventually cut him in those C2C leagues. But Tyler King he's a very fast kid, and he's a good option at wideout if you're just picking darts. But late considerations on guys in this offense. But I do think that it wouldn't surprise me, like if Jones gets to break away, or Washington starts breaking away from the other running backs here. Like I could see one of them putting up a season that you're not upset with, being drafted in a 30 rounder.
Tyler TK King is the guy I'm looking at in that offense. I mean, David Yoss has been so good for wide receiver ones the last couple of years. Even Donovan Fapel, who wasn't great last year, but he was still getting plenty of targets. Like the top wide receiver in that offense is going to get targets.
Yep.
All right. My final 5-round running back off the board here is going to be Mr. George Pettaway, the running back out of James Madison. A lot of people are enamored with Nick Herman coming up from Drake. Don't get me wrong. I get it on some level. He was really good as a true freshman last year. But George Pettaway is the veteran in this system. He's already had a 1,000-yard season for the Dukes already. He could have left to go with the new coaching staff, or to go with this old coaching staff to UCLA, but he didn't. You know why? Because he's pissed off. George Pettaway is a pissed off man. He felt wronged last year, and he said so in interviews that it was supposed to be his year last year. He gets banged up in the first couple games of the season. Wayne Knight goes out there, does Wayne Knight things. Obviously, a really good season for Wayne Knight. It's hard to keep him off the field. But Pettaway was basically shelved in a pretty big way the rest of the season. And so now he has said in interviews, he's pissed off. He's ready to prove himself. It's his final year in college. I'm happily taking Pettaway here in the final 5 rounds of drafts right now. I think he could easily outperform his ADP right now.
Also, for the record, Ethan Davis was the other one that I had considered, but saw the bye week. So
Gotcha. All righty. So where are you going in these last 5 rounds, Ethan? What's your team look like right now?
I think I only have 7 wide receivers, so I really need to load up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I need to snag a few guys here. It's probably my priority around this turn. We'll see. I might be going another quarterback, and probably not though. I think I'll probably load up at wide receiver and then maybe grab another running back here too.
Righty. I still
I
got
may
2.
go running back before the next guys, to be honest.
Probably, I mean, I don't blame you. Again, like as much as I'm touting, like, oh, there's some value here at running back in the last 5 rounds. Like, if these guys move up past like into round 25 and earlier in terms of ADP, running back's gonna get real rough.
Yeah,
These last couple rounds, Lamar is a great pick there in the 26th round. Like, I know, I get it. Like, there's a lot of questions of injury and stuff like that, but like, if he's healthy come the fall, people are gonna really like that value there in the 26th round.
for sure.
All right, up and Mitch goes Russell there. I'm curious to see if he does. Oh, he does not double dip. I was curious to see if he'd go Russell and Sutton Smith there, just to kind of lock up that Arkansas backfield. But nope, he's making the bet on Russell. Are you agree with that, Ethan? Like between Russell and Sutton Smith, who would you go
I'm
for?
a Sutton Smith believer myself. I think I think he was a great talent at Memphis, and I think that moving down, I am a guy, like I said, for narrative. So like the fact that Russell stuck around does make me kind of consider that there's probably a healthy role for him there. But Sutton Smith transferring in, he could be like a glue guy, locker room guy that the staff just wanted to have on board and be kind of a CJ Donaldson type of transfer. But I think more touches for Sutton than people would like if they're Russell believers.
Nope, totally understand. You're on the clock, sir. What do you got here?
Love that Chris Durr pick as well. He's one of my favorite guys to hammer here at the end of these drafts. I am gonna go with Kataris Blue Hicks from Pitt. Seems like a really good opportunity. Chris and I are both bullish on Heinzel this year, so I think seeing this Pitt offense, if we think that Heinzel is going to be above average, and we think that Jakarian Turner has the ability to be a worthy of a top 3 round pick. We also must believe that they're going to be able to score elsewhere and be productive elsewhere. So I think Hicks fits that role. Kenny Johnson, obviously, to Texas Tech. There's a great opportunity to be had for somebody in that Pitt wide receiver room to step up, and I'm hoping it's Hicks on that one.
Basketball lover 6741 Hogs complaining in the chat saying, "Why did you guys have to talk about Sutton Smith before my pick?" Sorry, man. It's just it's part of the stream. It's part of how it happens. But it is one pick away from your pick there, Darius. So you could pick him up here right now if you want. I assume that, yeah, I was about to say, I assume that's who Basketball Lover is, considering his profile picture is of a basketball player. I can't tell who it is, but all right. Yep, he said he's still got him. All right, I'm going to go my second running back here, a guy that I took in the Mountain West Pac-12 and MAC draft on CTN last week, and I talk about again this week, Cornell Hatcher out of Oregon State. Listen, guys, I get it. There's a lot of questions surrounding the Beavers this year. A coaching staff that we don't really know that much about outside of the fact that they come from the Kalen DeBoer tree. Oregon State was awful last year in a pretty weak schedule, and they're still having a pretty similar level schedule this year. There's a lot of questions about that, but I look at this running back room, and I just really don't know who else they're going to be handing the ball off to here. They got AJ Newberry from Vanderbilt, who's never had more than 200 yards in a season throughout his entire college career. You got Courtney Glass, who is interesting, but I'm not ready to crown him as the top guy for this Oregon State room. So I'm going to go with the guy who's RB2 last year behind Anthony Hankerson, and just hope that, in a Mountain West schedule, an official Mountain West or official Pac-12 schedule here, I knew I was getting a mix up. A Pac-12 schedule here, that Oregon State can ride Hatcher here, and I get an RB1 here in the last 5 rounds of a draft. Now, could that be an RB1 that gets 750 yards and 6 touchdowns and it's not really that great? Potentially, but what else are you going to be chasing here in the last 5 rounds if not a potential RB1 for his team? What you looking at, Ethan? I see the gears turning in your head. You look like you've spotted something.
I'm considering the likelihood of you drafting the guy who I wish I were drafted in my last pick.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I will tell you that he
I
is
think so.
somebody who is on your team.
Okay. I don't
So,
think I think I'm okay with that then, actually.
because I am probably the biggest fan out there of a certain someone. If Plowman can just make a pick here, so I can start talking about it. But yeah, screw it. I'll go ahead and talk about it. If Plowman screws me here, he screws me here. I'm the biggest fan of Carson Hansen. You guys will find out there. I'm a big believer in him this year. I think that I don't think Matt Campbell's going to move away from him after he just gave him 188 carries last year.
But
But but I can't honestly sit here and say that I haven't reevaluated my opinion of James Peoples a little bit.
yeah.
In that I think he is a legitimate threat in this backfield. I very much undersold his improvement from year 1 to year 2 at Ohio State. He looked like a much better back last year, despite the fact that he got overtaken by Bo Jackson. I think there's a world where, I mean, I'm still sitting here saying Carson Hansen is the number 1 back, right? Clear as day. I think he'll be, like, even if in a split role with Peoples, he's going to be the number 1 back. But if Hansen goes down, Peoples is going to step in, and it'll be a monster season the rest of the way for him. He's a really solid back, and I think he can fit really well into the system that Matt Campbell's had here. In addition, like, God, I blanked on where I wanted to go with this. And like, this is like different than the other two guys. Like Petaway and Hatcher, I'm pointing at and saying like they will be RB1s. You can get RB1s here in the last 5 rounds. Other direction you can kind of take this range for these late round running backs is going after some handcuffs, right? We just saw Quentin Joyner come off the board there. But I kind of pointed out in the episode tomorrow that there is a lot of handcuffs that come off way earlier. I mean, LJ Phillips there in the 22nd round, and like let me see if I can run through it again on the ADP sheet if I can find them pretty quickly. But like DRA Hill, right, handcuffed to Jordan Davison, he's RB45.
Yeah.
Right. Raleek Brown or Dalen Smothers, whichever one you want to handcuff to each other, they're both RB51 and 52. King Miller RB55, Jamal Roberts RB56, Savion Hyder RB64. Sire Gaines, RB69. These are expensive handcuffs. Meanwhile, Peoples, I think, might be just as good as a lot of them. And you can get him here in the last 5 rounds. And Ethan, I know you're a big fan of Peoples as well, so I would hope you would agree with me on that take.
Yeah, I think I can agree with you up to a point. I don't think that this. Well, I'm gonna say my piece, and then I'll contradict myself with why I think that your option is in play there. I don't think that this backfield is going to have an alpha. I don't think that there is a great opportunity for Peoples to be like a dominant running back in any stretch. That said, they have a very favorable schedule this year. They should be able to run the ball a lot. I think Peoples is going to be the um, more explosive option for sure. And just the way that this offense is set up, I think Peoples is going to have a lot more impact on this offense than a lot of people and a lot of Hanson fans want to believe in. Shout out Mbop to all the Hanson, Hanson fans out there as well.
And then you're true to your word. You take Hill here. Talk to us about this Griffin pick here out of Troy. I know you wrote up that page in the guide here. So let's
for a P4 guy, I'm sure doing a lot of trash write-ups now. Troy is super interesting. They get the staff from, or the I believe he was the OC at
Tarleton State.
Adam Austin. So he comes over. Last season, if you look at the production for Tarleton State, they didn't necessarily have a great receiving or a great running threat. They split carries pretty evenly. Not sure if that was out of necessity due to injury. It seems like most of them played most of the season. Got a guy who played for 11 games, guy who played for 9 games, and a guy who played for 5 games, all sharing that load. Also, shout out Tylan Hines, former Hawaii running back great, was one of those guys sharing the load at Tarleton. But if you go back to 2024, and you see the production that Austin had at running back, there is absolutely the possibility for a fantastic season and a workhorse running back. I believe, let me pull it up here. It was Kayvon Britton, 340 attempts, 2,020 yards, well, actually 1,982 on the ground with 18 touchdowns. Um, I will take a risk in the 28th round all day that the guy I get could have the guy the co coordinator or coach or whoever is calling plays, the play caller, for that kind of production. So I'm willing to take a shot on Gavin Griffin here at Troy. I think he's an interesting guy. I think that Troy offense could be sneakily very, very good this year. Jared Parker, former Notre Dame guy, former Penn State guy, sneakily took them to 8-6 last season. That was not something that I would have been able to recall offhand. They get Goose Crowder likely back. He was injured early last season at quarterback. They bring in some transfers at wide receiver that could be fun. I'm bullish on these guys for sure.
I don't. Yeah. All right. I was deciding between, like, I swear to God, 7 or 8 different wide receivers just now. I was like, and then, like, all of a sudden I was like, I don't know if I want to take a wide receiver here. And I'm like, no, I should take a wide receiver. Gary Rogers, I expect him to be our wide receiver 1 for NIU. Tony Peterson comes in as offensive coordinator. He's had some really solid production at wide receiver last couple of years. Big question is, can Jalen McCone or Jalen Macon, however you want to pronounce it, will he be able to get the ball to Rogers? We'll see. But he's my 11th wide receiver off the board here. So now I just got to pick a quarterback here. We did get one last question here from Frog Fan. Although I say last question, Frog Fan, you can ask more questions if you want. But Ethan, who would you consider the favorite to get the G6 playoff bid this year?
Ooh, I mean, Boise is going to be a popular name every year. I would think UNLV is an option that I think could be very exciting in the G5. Um, Gosh, I'm going through and thinking who we've got in the American now. The American's kind of reworked. They're not as fun as I remembered them being.
No, when you lose Houston, SMU, and like a lot of the UCF and a lot of the big names, like it kind of creates a vacuum there at the top for sure.
Is it crazy to think that Delaware could be a sneaky
I don't
G5 playoff team?
I don't think so, because like they're returning pretty much everything.
So much.
But it's the question of, can you believe that the CUSA will get somebody
Exactly.
to that point, right?
So much to happen for that.
And they play a couple of Power 4 opponents. So they play Virginia, they play Vanderbilt. Like, they got to be at least competitive in those games for them to even be considered. But if they get blown out in those games, like that, they're dead in the water.
UTSA is really exciting. Owen McCown, I didn't realize, I just like him coming back and what that does to the offense. Like I think, has perhaps the safest floor of any quarterback out there.
Oh, yeah.
Just what we've seen him do and how prolific as a passer he is. Like, it really comes down to what they have at wide receiver. Like, does Amador step up to truly be a big time opportunity after McEwen is gone? I feel like they have DJ Allen is still there, former 4-star from TCU. Like, they've got some really interesting pieces. Obviously, they've got a great running game, with Henderson there. There's some familiar faces in the power players of the G4 or G6 rather, that I think could be exciting for playoff.
I got a curveball for you. This is an outlier, or a one out of left field here. I want to go Fresno State.
Okay.
great defense last year. Like, I don't think people realize how good that defense was for Fresno State last year. Matt Entz came in and immediately built a demon unit there at the G6 level. And really what held them back was their offense. EJ Warner and Carson Conklin just completely flamed out for them at quarterback. And I have to think that, bringing in Kristen Martin as well as, you got Mandel there at quarterback, that one of those guys is going to work out better for them than what they had last year. And that if they can get that offense going, Fresno State might be a really sneaky play.
Yeah.
We probably should have mentioned Texas State as well. I mean, we're obviously drafting all their offensive players super high. Like, they could just roll through the Pac-12 and potentially come out the other side as like a clear favorite out of the G6. So, but what is Texas State's schedule this year?
They don't have a crazy non-con, do they? I don't.
That's what I'm looking up. Schedule.
Is it good enough to get them launched in there?
I mean, somebody's got to make it out of the G6, right? Because of the way that it's set up, it's like five conference championships. So you're on the clock with your last pick there, Ethan. So they have Texas to start off the year.
Fun.
But then they get UTSA North Texas out of conference as well. So again, those are two teams right there that like they'll be competing for that G6. Maybe not North Texas. Last year's North Texas for sure, but maybe not this year. And they have they have a flex weekend. That's interesting.
Oh,
because they haven't really scheduled anybody for November 28th. All right, Ethan, we have finished up the draft here.
Yeah, we did,
and we are through. 2 hours and 7 minutes that draft was. Not too bad at all. Good work, everybody. Appreciate all of you guys who were drafting with us, but we're not quite done yet because Ethan and I always like to discuss, the players that are still on the board a little bit and get your opinions for, who you're kind of surprised is still on the board. So we'll start with quarterback, Ethan. Who made it through 30 rounds that you're kind of surprised is still available here?
I think Mason McKenzie is an interesting option at BC. I'm not as over the moon with him. I think Chris and Ben, their projections do pretty well for him this year. He's an interesting name out there. Faison Brandon, I'm warming up to and want to get a good share of him just because we know how good that scheme can be for quarterbacks. Everybody's kind of expecting a down year for Tennessee and them relying a lot on Bishop, and I think that'll be the case. But I think that they could be better than a lot of people want to give them credit for. So he's in there. I'll give one more. I mentioned there's two guys here. I'll go with Will Crowder. I don't think a lot of people realize the upside that he could have in this Troy system. Obviously, we talked about Tarleton State, the connection there, but he is a non-zero runner and was injured last year, but really started to kind of show some good juice as well. So he was another guy who I thought was interesting.
A couple of guys are interesting to me. I mentioned before, I'm a little concerned about Northern Illinois' offense, and that's why I'm a little off of Telly Johnson going off where he go off 7th round in this draft. Like I can't do that, but I will take shots on De'Aaron Rodgers as well as Jalen Macon at quarterback because one, Macon does run the ball, and Tony Peterson is very good about running his quarterbacks around the goal line. Hence why people like Telly Johnson and other running backs in the system have struggled to get touchdowns. So I'm interested there. Aaron Philo, I think, could potentially have one of the best trio of wide receivers in the country next year. And if they reach their potential, then Philo is certainly going to outperform his ADP right now. John Allen Richter at Toledo is also very interesting to me because I'm really bullish on this Mike Jacobs offense coming into Toledo here.
Yeah.
And like last year, he got Brady Atkinson over 9 yards per attempt. Granted, again, that is at the FCS level, but moving to the MAC, that's one of the easiest transitions you can make. And so I think there's a decent shot that he makes John Allen Richter much better than he's been the last couple of years. What about running back, Ethan? Who sticks out for you there?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that nobody took a shot on Dylan Jones. He's kind of getting more buzz down the stretch than I would have initially given him any credit for. It sounds like this LSU backfield may be a little bit murkier than I'd like. I think than a lot of people would like. Um, I mean, nobody jumps out as like a huge shock. The fact that Bryson Washington didn't go, I mean, I know I talked down upon the Auburn offense and transitioning into this year, but he's a guy who I think, coming back from injury last season, like maybe we should kind of reevaluate. He was very good for Baylor when he was good. And if he's back to where he could be, that's a fun opportunity he could get in that offense.
See, to me, again, I'm just seeing committee all day with that Auburn room because again, Jeremiah Cobb comes off here at the second pick of the 30th round. I think he's just as, if not better, than Bryson Washington as a
It's
talent.
fair.
And
Yeah.
then they also got Davenport following this staff from South Florida. It just screams committee to me, and that's what
I don't think you're wrong, but yeah.
and that's what the system's done the last couple of years. It's a really good committee. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
it's still a committee at the end of the day. I agree with you. Like in terms of like shockers, there's not really anybody here, but some like I talked about some last 5 round running backs, some more. Either of the Coastal Carolina running backs, Dominic Nicely or Javon Edwards, I think are worth taking shots on late in drafts because somebody's going to be valuable in that room with Nick Petrino running the offense there. Trey Wisner, I know we're not super in on him, but I mean, we like Chroma's talent, but Chroma came off the board in round 22 here, and nobody else took a shot on Wisner. That kind of surprises me. Other guys, last guy I'll shout out here is Terrence Shelton. This Buffalo running back room's been pretty good to us over the years, and I'm kind of shocked that nobody's really kind of more aggressively attacking, like who could be that next RB1 there at Buffalo. And Terrence Shelton, to me, at least based on when I did my write up for the CFF guide, Shelton seemed like the pretty clear potential next guy up there, and I think that's worth a shot later on in drafts right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, wide receiver, Ethan. This is always a fun one. I got tons of fun names here.
I know, right? Guys at the top of my queue, Landon Sides, East Carolina, following oh gosh, why am I blanking on his name?
Jordan
Over-
Davis.
Yeah, from North Texas.
Is he? Would you consider him the wide receiver one among the East Carolina wide receivers? Because you also got Ray Joseph, you got Brock Spalding.
I lean Sides just because his familiarity with the staff. Ray Joseph hasn't done anything that scares me off of Landon Sides. Um, and I think that this offense is going to be pass happy enough that I'm okay if it just doesn't stick. Going with Sides. But I think Sides is going to have his weeks where he's wide receiver one for this team, and that's really what we're looking for with Bestball.
Gotcha. What other guys you got?
Yeah, Deshaun Martin at not West Virginia, at Virginia. He is transferring in from Kent State, put up 507 yards on 33 catches last year. I think he could be fun. Bo Prabula has shown that he can support a good receiver with what he did with Kevin Coleman before he got injured. So I am full speed ahead on him. And then I was kind of surprised Malcolm Simmons didn't go as well. I mean, obviously there's some murkiness with the Texas Tech wide receiver or passing game, knowing that Swordsby's out. But he's a good enough talent, and I think an offense that traditionally has done well enough at throwing the ball. Like I trust Will Hammond enough. I'd be okay taking a shot on Malcolm Simmons as well as being the guy that emerges there.
All right, I got a couple of guys here at the top. Jordan Mosley's my pick at Colorado State this year. Again, big fish, small pond kind of deal. Former 4-star dropping down to Colorado State. We just saw this staff take a guy from the Power 4 and Skylar Bell, who was underproducing there, a deep threat option, no less, and really turned him into something special there under that system. Mosley could very well follow a similar route here. It's just a matter of can Haas Haney actually get him the ball?
Yep.
Javon Tracy is interesting at Minnesota. I mean, we've typically loved PJ Fleck wide receiver ones. I was shocked when I saw that Tracy was returning. I think he's somebody that people need to take a bit more of a look at. And then I took Trey Richardson pretty early in this draft. What was that, 10th round? I took him. Knew it was where I just lost my own team.
11-9.
11, yeah. I took him 11-9. Trayshawn Hurry and Luane McCoy, both still on the board here, and they're the two outside guys you're likely looking at for Louisville this year. I feel like both of those guys people should be taking some shots on. And then, again, Troy O'Mary, you made fun of me for it. Or no, Chris made fun of me on the show earlier for still believing in Troy O'Mary, which is odd because I was not a believer in Troy O'Mary before this year. I just really like the system he's walking into, and I don't see another option in that wide receiver room, frankly. But that's another guy I'm kind of curious about. And then, Amari Hatcher, Ty Mims out of UAB. It's just some other guys that I think are kind of interesting, but I'm not really that shocked it didn't come off the board here.
Yeah.
Tight end, Ethan.
Absolutely.
Any tight ends you're super surprised by here?
I'll give three. I'll give equal billing to the tight ends. I am pretty shocked that Lincoln Cure didn't go off the board. There's a lot of buzz. I know we like to talk about drum beats here when chatting with Jared. So he's a guy who has been getting that repetitious rhythm, as Chris and I like to joke, because we don't say that word on Ballin with my bestie. He's a guy who's getting a lot of talk though, so I'm kind of surprised he is still there. Javante Connor at Vanderbilt, obviously somebody filling in for Eli
Cole
Sauers.
Spence, man. Why do people keep discounting Cole Spence, man? Like
There's
he's
a
not a
chance.
bad tight end, man.
There's a chance that happens, but I also was a big fan of what Connor was able to do when given some opportunity at ECU. So like I think he's a guy who I think deserves to be getting drafted. And then Luke Lindenmeyer has been getting a very, very big shout out by the staff. I believe he's going to Big Ten Media Day for
He
Nebraska.
is.
On3, the little blurb in Fantrax talks about the On3 report saying that Lindenmeyer is slated for a big role in 2026. It's a new offense in terms of what they want to do about pushing the ball down field and having extended broken play opportunities for this offense. So I think a lot of people tend to gravitate towards the receivers with that. But if Lindenmeyer is athletic enough, the first guys who are going to break down on broken plays and be baited into leaving their assignment is going to be the linebacker. And so there's a really good opportunity that Lindenmeyer has some great targets, great opportunity within this system. I would not be shocked at all to see him finishing as a tight end one at the end of the season. If this offense is scoring the way that they could be, and Calandria is able to kind of light that fire from a passing attack.
No, I fully agree. I need to add Lindenmeyer to my tight end rankings. I agree with you. The buzz is way too strong there for me to be ignoring it at this point. And then one last thing about Javante Connor, man. Like, I would have liked it better if he followed John David Baker back to Ole Miss.
Totally.
That would have been just beautiful match made in heaven there, because I really don't love the tight end options at Ole Miss right now. I know they got Luke Haas. I know they got Odom officially transitioned to wide receiver, right? Yeah. So it's like not even like, you got Luke Haas, great, a guy that's just been injured forever and a half now. Other tight ends, you already mentioned Cure. Noah Myers at Syracuse is kind of interesting. Technically, they have another guy listed ahead of him, but that's more of a blocker. And we've seen that these big slot options have been pretty important for Syracuse's offense, both the previous staff and the new staff. So, again, something to kind of keep an eye out for there. Caden Jensen out of Louisiana Lafayette, not a super great year last year, but again, like they need to pass to somebody in this offense outside of Shelton Sampson, and so he's probably your number one guy there. I'm surprised nobody took a shot on Elijah Lofton there. A lot of hype has been around him in these circles. So, but other than that, nobody, like I said, that's really, really shocking, in my opinion. Although I will throw out one more name that has not been drafted a ton recently, but I do think people need to keep an eye on. That's Rice Kessel out of North Dakota State. I drafted Jackson Williams earlier this year, but similar to some of the other options here, they can't just pass to Williams all day long, and they are returning their top tight end, who was a top option in this passing attack last year. I think he could very much improve upon the production he was able to provide last year. So just a shout out there for him. Alrighty. Well, again, out there in the chat, if y'all don't got any more questions, Ethan, I think it's House of the Dragon time. I think it's about time we get. I think it's about time we get on over to that. All that being said, again, appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. Again, it's another fun draft. You guys are awesome in the chat. You guys really keep the show going with your questions and everything. So we'll see you guys back here next Monday. Appreciate all of you guys for listening, and make sure, if you have not already, leave a like before you leave. Make sure you comment on the stream later on, and subscribe if you're watching this on the YouTube side of things. Make sure you check out the rest of the Campus of Canton Podcast Network, including great shows like Ballin with My Bestie and Ethan. You can find Ethan there as well, along with Chris K, and a host of other shows that range on pretty much everything you can think of related to the college fantasy game. And like I said, we'll see you guys back here next Sunday night. We'll be celebrating the 4th of July all together, and hopefully a couple of USA World Cup wins by that point. Until then, really appreciate you guys, and hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed week. See y'all.